killed him. He was like really calm, and he was like, the way his tone was, like I said, oh shit, like, and when I hung up the phone, I said, they fucking did it.
So within a few hours of the hit on 46th Street, it became apparent to everybody who had organized it, and that was John Gotti.
The government said John Gotti is a cold-blooded killer, perhaps the most ruthless and powerful mob boss in America.
Hey, don't get a bum.
John Gotti was a Marvel superhero before there were Marvel movies. He was the perfect character for the time in New York.
The mob is supposed to be a secret organization. He flaunted it. He played up to the camera. He loved being in the limelight, and the public loved him. His name was the looking company. He didn't give a fuck about the FBI. He didn't give a fuck if you got arrested, if you went to prison. This was a slap in the face of the federal government. He was a killer. He was a gangster. He owned the fucking city.
And now we were going to try to take him down. No other way to put it. Get Gotti.
You put it from 50 in, 5 weeks, 25 hours, 34. It was the fuck of John Gotti.
Damn, who sings this song, bro? That song is actually dope.
You can get away with everything. You got away with murders, drug deals, extortion. We owned New York. There's nothing you couldn't get away with. Nothing. We're making millions on the streets. Everything was about mink coats, jewelry. Everything about that reeked glamour. Yeah. Wow. People looked like, this is unbelievable. Who wouldn't want to be us? Who wouldn't want to be a criminal? John Gotti portrayed all of that. He was a man to be feared.
There is a dragnet out for the hitman who executed Mafia godfather Paul Castellano.
In 1985, I was about 29, 30 years old. Had been on the bureau for just about 5 years. The Paul Castellano homicide case. That's a really big deal. We're busy trying to see if we can make a case on the street. We were fortunate that we had informants close to the inner circle telling us that Daddy was behind it and many of the shooters were involved. The problem is they cannot come out and testify and tell the truth. You're going to get exposed. So it's, can we find witnesses that will pick any of these guys out?
People didn't talk. No. No way. Who's going to say, yeah, I saw something? You have to be a moron. Because you
Got my glasses,
they're afraid. They know what the mob can do to them.
Now, for 50 years has New York seen a mob murder of this great magnitude.
When I heard about the 1985 Castellano assassination in Black, it had John Gotti written all over it because that's who he was. Gotti and I, we came up the ranks together through the 70s. We robbed trucks together with Tommy DeSimone, the same Tommy that was in Goodfellas, the character Pesci played. Working your way up in the mob, you had to do to murder something, and then you would be looked at like a potential made man. John Gotti had a lot of guts, a lot of balls.
He was willing to commit a murder and not ask no questions. The boss tells you to do something, you do it.
James McBratney was a tough guy, from Staten Island whose crew was kidnapping Italian mob guys and holding them for ransom. So the word went out, and John Gotti got the assignment to go kill this McBratney guy.
And John and 2 other people went out to Staten Island and killed him in the bar.
The 3 men struggled with McBratney. Then, with sudden fury, 1, 2, 3 gunshots explode. Jimmy McBratney is dead. The 3 men flee.
John got arrested for it.
He went to jail, and he came out in 77. That's when he became a big guy.
He got straightened out, he got his button, you know, he's a friend now, you know, there's all kinds of little slang things and terminologies, but they all mean he became a made member of a crime family.
He was projected that he was going to be the mob boss in New York, and I feel like, wow. But John Gotti was much more clever than everybody realized.
Today, some law enforcement officials were quietly speculating that the top mob boss in America was working from within the Gambino family.
For us being the FBI, that's very frustrating. We knew who did it. We knew who ordered it.
Oh, that's what his eyes
To
do.
try these guys in court and prove it, that's a big burden to overcome.
But this shit wasn't doing nothing for me though.
We're not getting witnesses. So, you know, we were desperate to try and build that case any way we could.
The thing to remember is that a crime family is like running a business. They have to meet and discuss things, to collect the money, to send out orders, to commit crimes. We started surveilling John Gotti more and realized he was holding court at his club in Queens called the Burger Night Fish Club.
Every mob family had a club. And John Gotti had the Very Good Hunter Fish Club. My father took me there when I was 12 or 13. And that's when I started to understand what my father did for, you know, who he was, that he was mobbed up. The Very Good Hunter Fish Club, that was our social life, and we would talk about crime. We started out our day in the social club, having some danishes and coffee, and then we went out and pillaged and clubbed in New York City for the rest of the day.
You always wish you had a microphone. See these guys go inside the club, you know they're talking in there. You just wish you could capture that conversation, you know it's going to be illegal. That's easier said than done. And one of the hardest things in this case was that every law enforcement agency wanted a piece of it, with the glory. So we had to deal with the police department, OCTF. Everybody's out there.
The Organized Crime Task Force did not have the resources that the FBI had. The FBI was like the 3rd Marine Division. They had the manpower, they had the money, they had everything you needed.
Big lighter, what up?
The Crime Task Force was more like a SEAL team. We could do things a lot faster.
We were small, we were nimble, and we became competition for the FBI. So the FBI, they suddenly decided to work very hard to catch up.
Our investigation put us 1 or 2 steps ahead of the FBI because our probable cause was developed and it enabled us to get a bug in the Burger Hunter Fish Club 7 months before Paul Castellano was killed.
Much I work OT, ain't got to that bag. Shit, I feel like I'm doing overtime right yet.
In the 80s, when we tailed mobsters, it wasn't an easy task. From the time they left their house to the time they went home at night. They were always looking. But most people are creatures of habit, like John Gotti. He left his house about the same time every day.
Shit, bro, today on Twitch or yesterday on Twitch, bro, yesterday was crazy, bro. Shit, I need my YouTube to jump like how my Twitch was yesterday.
Struck us that this was a place to invest our time and money.
Oh, let me try this other gun. I should have went to the shooting range.
We knew everybody else that tried to put the bug in our Bergen Hunt and Fish Club. Queen's DA's office and the FBI had failed. So we figured we better be very careful.
I realized that
Enemies dropping into
you
the
were
AO.
but you were a stranger. So you were kind of like a piece of coal sticking out of a cotton. People were looking for surveillance.
So I had to create a scene. We had a detective
Enemies are dropping into the
routinely
area.
park
Watch the
a
skies.
box truck along the street next to the
Prep
Bergen
time's
Hunt
over. Now you deploy to the war zone.
and put cardboard out so that the garbage men would pick it up. People would get used to seeing it. He would have coffee at the man across the street, read the newspaper, get in his truck and drive away. So this became a routine that people became familiar with. Now it's taken a month or so.
Lockdown. Secure and defend zones for victory. Zones are marked. Lock them down.
We had a guy who was great at picking locks. Great at picking locks.
Friday afternoon, the detective put a refrigerator
New zones
box
will be
out.
active soon. Get ready. Enemies dropping into the AO.
The idea of the box was anybody walking by was an empty box against the building.
New zones online.
Inside the box is the lock man. One side of the box was cut open.
Bro, this is wild, bro. This is definitely a warm-up.
As soon as the door was unlocked, he signaled us.
That's our second assist.
Went to work to place the bugs into place. I was a lookout.
The first thing you do when you're inside is survey. Where's the most likely place people are going to gather? And you're going to pick up their conversation.
He lucky, bro. He just sat there. I had a feeling he was just sitting there.
Back room. Like a barber shop. All set up with a regular barber
Time for
chair
vengeance.
with
You're
a barber
redeploying.
next to it. Really, that's where John would sit. I mean, knowing his personality.
Tracking locations of lead operators. Hunt them down. Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
They were inside for about 20, 25 minutes when suddenly a car rolled past.
Stand by for
Sitting
redeployment.
there looking at the Bergen Hunt and Fish Club.
Zones are relocating soon.
This was very some other situation. I warned the team that
Advancing on the zone.
Damn. I just came through and just wrecked that shit over there, though. Yo.
Where the bird was.
You're getting another
Let's
chance.
see what they
Make
do.
it count. New zones coming online. Enemies dropping into the AO.
Yeah, I can't even make it to a zone, though. It is just sweaty. I'm trying to make it to a zone. I can't even make it to a zone.
There's someone knows, and they followed me for about 3/4 of a
We are
mile.
returning you to the front.
The
Earn
exit
this.
team finished their job real quick, and like thieves in the night, beat. Now we got the budget. We ran a hard case.
Enemy soldier
Our
incoming.
analyst, Greg Stasiak, so he can listen and extract the intelligence.
We're contesting the zone.
The very, very first conversation I listened to, all of a sudden I hear them talking about doing something.
Dude, lucky I had to reload on that second gun, B.
They're so open about it. It's amazing. But the sound doesn't really sound like it. It sounded kind of off, like it really wasn't right.
You're back on station. Go get after it.
And then I realized that no one was in the room. The TV was on. The mob was on. And it was just people talking on the TV.
Zone secure. Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
Bro. This motherfucker. And I know that's the same dude that fucking ran.
Zone's updating in 15 seconds.
Seconds to determine if a conversation is
Resurging.
true or not.
Go get your revenge.
Then we have to stop recording and stop listening. And then after maybe 2 minutes, they go back on.
New zones identified. Get them locked down.
During those 90 seconds,
This gun is good, but it's too over the place.
Stand by for new zone.
but you got some
Get
insight
ready.
into it
You're
during those
redeploying.
90 seconds.
Damn, bro. Like, these things keep me out of kill. I just got, look, I'm supposed to have like 11 kills by now, bro.
Enemies dropping into the AO.
I can't stand when they do that. And I know nobody didn't res this other dude that I killed, bro.
He was really admired by his men.
We control the zone.
He was always smart, sharp, funny. He just had a presence about him. It was like a moth to a flame. That's what it was like.
I live to watch the game live, but I can't. The aggravation wakes me up.
We have the
One
zone.
thing you could tell
Defend
is
it.
that John Gotti had a very bad gambling addiction.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
The initial court order gives you the authority to do electronic surveillance for 3 days.
We hold the zone.
And then you have to do it. You have to keep finding crimes in the conversations in order to review
High value
the
zone
electronic
marked.
surveillance.
Secure to earn additional points.
The problem was, because Gotti gambled himself, it muddied the waters as to what was legal and what was illegal. It's not illegal to gamble. It's only to run a gambling operation. That's illegal in New York. We decided that it wasn't worth keeping the bug in there. So we notified the court and we stopped the bugging process.
Enemy soldier incoming.
There was nothing that we heard that would indicate that Gotti was planning an attack on Castellano.
15 seconds before zones relocate. The enemy's closing on the objective. Drive them back.
Early stories I still that picture at the execution of Big Paul Castellano, a Brooklyn funeral parlor that's filled with flowers by Castellano's wake. And no doubt someone will send for the man who ordered his death.
Objective locations updated. Secure the new zone.
By Castellano's death. Alleged campaign from the capital and possible successor, John Gotti.
New zones will be active soon. Get ready.
After the hit, a week later,
Time for
all the
vengeance.
captains met.
You're redeploying.
They voted John in, and then John had a big Christmas party in El Carib.
Zones are active.
Explain it as when the movie stars all wait for the Academy Awards.
Enemies are
This is
dropping
all
into the
the
area. Watch
families
the
and
skies.
everybody is waiting. Let's go. Tonight's the big night.
And it was mobbed. You couldn't get in the door. Everybody wanted to be up John's ass at that point. The whole family came. There was like 300 guys there. I was included. And, you know, that's when we came out of the door.
He walked in like a powerhouse. And everybody was going over their hands, and they thought the veterans was taking his own to the congratulations.
Heads up, enemies in the zone.
I was broke. He was like my neighbor. Now I had a good relationship with the boss. You know, he liked me. It was just a happy meeting.
Get ready. You're redeploying.
He is a member of the Gambino crime family. The family that Castellano ran.
Enemy soldier incoming.
It stands out right away. We start doing research. We find out that he was a plumbing supply salesman, according to his business card, making $25,000 a year. Yet he's running around in a $60,000 suit.
Resurging. Go get your revenge.
Not bad. Third place, 12 kills.
We're contesting the zone.
Bro, this dude just over there.
And that's where we started to put those pieces together. We recognized that early that summer, there was a great deal of tension inside the Gambino family between Paul Castellano and John Gotti. Paul Castellano had an edict that if you dealt in drugs, you would get killed. And that was the basis of John Gotti's problem in that early summer.
There was two guys in John's group in the drug business. One was his brother and one was his best friend.
Well, they were arrested and under indictment for drug dealing.
You weren't supposed to do that. The question is very important. 6 years. Some of them were just right, not wrong. So that allowed the government to show that. It's like, you know what? You want to do right, or you want to come over and become a witness and a reformer. So it was you could smack here for life. And a lot of the guys followed the rules, and they didn't make any money. You gotta realize.
Oh shit, Don, what's good, bro?
I was a drug dealer, and
I must be a new way of them entering the game, no slow-mo shit.
back then, I had 20,000 a week.
What the hell? Told me to add that. That shit was too slow.
So it was the best coke connection I ever had, because he never charged me any money, and he always had coke. Everybody was selling drugs. There was a rule that was on the down low, nobody cared. Except guys like my father, old school guys. Guys would come to my father with suitcases full of heroin. And he'd go, here, man, you go make yourself a couple $100,000. And he'd go, I don't want that shit. And I used to tell my father, take it. What, are you kidding me? He used to tell me, I don't want that blood money. You're a fucking murderer. You're worried about blood money? He goes, because I'll be the guy they kill. I'll be the guy they make an example out of.
John's crew recognized they were in dire straits. They recognized.
Oh, the hand sanitizer my joystick. Man, listen. I do this shit so much.
John surrounded himself with some tough guys because he knew what he was going to do, and he wanted to be strong. And then maybe a week or two before Paul Castellano was killed, Paul overlooked John and appointed Tommy Belay the underboss.
And that was the big mistake.
John's like, what are you fucking kidding me? John thought he was the next in line. His
far as John was concerned, that puts the icing on the cake. You know, now if I'm John Gotti, I'm sitting back, I just look at this guy. He wants to kill my brother. Instead of making me the underboss, he made Tommy Bellotti the underboss. What does that mean? That means they're going to come after me. Paul Castellano knows John's a threat, and he wants John out of the picture, and makes a remark to somebody that he was going to take care of John Gotti right after Christmas. Now, John Gotti, he's a gangster. John Gotti does not give a fuck about Christmas. Now it's either kill or be killed. And that was it. That was the last straw.
There was one tape in particular recorded in June of 1985. The audibility was not great on the tape. We had heard it before, but we didn't pay too much attention to it. And now we listen to it again. We were very excited. Now we have that conversation now related to a possible crime, because in December 1985, Paul Castellano and Thomas Bellotti are killed. John Gotti became our main target.
We're working the case on John, we're surveilling it, but John Gotti's not going to go out on the street and shoot anybody anymore. He's going to tell people to do that. That's the evidence I have to figure out how I get. So ultimately, you have to put a bug in on a guy like John Gotti to put these people in jail. The intent was to try and put a bug in a Bergen hunting fish. And we find out that the LCPF got into it before us.
That's, you know, it's the price you pay for going after a guy like John Gotti. There's a lot of egos involved, and other entities want to prosecute this guy. It's a career case for a prosecutor or an agent.
Bruce had only one focus, and that was the Gambino family. There was nothing else in the world more important, and it was his. And you didn't have any business in his backyard.
It was like, they didn't like us, and so we didn't deal with them, and I'm not going to go into it.
So we were the only game in town in New York City at the time, and we were going to go ahead with our own case. On December 26th, we were able to switch the boats inside the Bergen Fish Club back on, and we're back up on John Gotti.
And then we really hit the jackpot. There we are taking the conversations that no one else could possibly have within days of him becoming boss.
There was really no room for dissension. John Gotti even had people come and praise him, relating how they praised him.
Oh, I gotta go to this. I can pick up my results and shit. Like, bro, I just realized that, like, these niggas, they playing shit in this act.
He's learning everything that Paul Castellano was making money on. We were getting great conversations. I think talking about money coming in from the waterfront, money coming in from the concrete club, money coming in from all the captains, all the soldiers. And what's even better is he's naming them by their full names. We were now out saying the caterpillar had come out of its cocoon, is now the butterfly of the Boston Gambino crime family, and we were getting all those conversations.
When Johnny came to force, we owned the city. Every walk of life, every union, every business, you couldn't lay brick, you couldn't get cement. They had their hands in everything.
I know people that own big companies that they went and shaken down. They were paying. They were afraid because this guy is scary. Not for us. For us, it was great. Wow, was it great.
We were doing $90,000, $100,000 in business every day.
Begins.
Every day. It's tremendous money.
Oh, that's the crazy finishing move, I guarantee you. Too bad they can't preview that shit.
After the Paul Castellano hit, John Gotti wasn't charged.
John Gotti's attorney told us tonight that federal agents have not asked his client anything. They've never even asked for an interview.
But then came this case, this old peddling case of kind of an assault, an argument over a parking space.
Gotti had a case that was pending in Queens, his home turf. And this involved a refrigerator repairman named Romeo Pajcek. About 18 months before the Castellano hit, back in 1984, Pajcek was driving home from work in Queens. And there was a double parked car blocking his way on the street, so he started pounding on the horn.
John Gotti punched him, and there was a kind of struggle fight on the street.
For us, it's like, really, was he that stupid to smack somebody in broad daylight? But he was obviously that hot that day.
Pajcek was very annoyed and went to flag some cops. And they found John Gotti and his friend, and the two of them were arrested.
4 uniformed cops who arrested Gotti did so several minutes after the assault happened.
This was in 1984. Fast forward to early 1986. Now the Queens District Attorney wants to bring this assault and robbery case to court.
109 videos.
I was a trial attorney, district attorney's office. This was about as straightforward a case involving a mobster as you could ever have. It's an eyewitness, and they're arrested minutes after the occurrence.
We weren't really concerned that it would jeopardize the Castellano homicide case. Even the informants that were reporting to us, they were all laughing about it.
Although it didn't seem that serious. Looking at John Gotti's record, it's clear that with enhanced sentencing as a predicate felon, he'd be facing up to 15 years in jail. So, for him, if convicted, it was that serious.
You have to realize that the case was brought when John Gotti was a capo. He was one of 20 or 30 captains in the family.
Can you imagine? You file charges against somebody who you don't even know because they attacked you on the street. And then you find out he's the new godfather.
In preparation of the trial, I made an effort to contact Rommel Pajcek. There was no Rommel Pajcek. I couldn't find him anywhere. He wasn't living in the same location, and his contacts didn't work, and I had no witness. I was, that the case depended upon Rommel Pajcek testifying. To me, it was like he disappeared off the face of the earth. He was gone.
It's our job to find, harass, and kill witnesses. My father used to tell me, you can't make money in prison. So when someone gets us in trouble, we're going to do anything in our power to stay free.
Ultimately, the police found him in a hospital out in Nassau County. Well, I saw him in an enormous swing. I mean, what's the obvious thing that one thinks? It's almost like it's a bad movie.
They say he's a reputed godfather.
Gear up fast, we're about to get
He no
evil.
longer wished to testify. He had no choice. No, he had no choice whatsoever. He was a witness. And a witness being compelled to testify.
Enemy soldier incoming.
Ever since Isaac fingered this man, reputed Gambino crime family boss John Gotti 18 months ago.
It's a made-for-media situation. Here comes John Gotti to court. Finally, the guy who we were told engineered the murder of the mob boss.
Enemies dropping
is right
into the
in front of
AO.
us.
You know, he came out of central casting.
All stations, we are green to go. Stand by for deployment.
So, there he was, the Godfather.
The mob, before John Gotti, always seemed to be old men in rumble suits or track suits, and not that alluring. And he came in like a movie star.
He walked in with a $2,000 suit, pinky ring,
Lockdown.
every hair in place.
Secure and hold the target areas to
Of
win.
the press, very aware of how he would look to the public.
Zones are marked on your tac map. Get moving.
No. You say you managed to scare off?
We'll get the lead.
He wasn't like the other
New zones will be active soon. Get
and
ready.
he liked the spotlight. He didn't hide from it. He didn't say, get out of my way.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
He just walked right through it. Like the Red Sea was parting for John Gotti. Cameras everywhere. Here I am.
New zones online.
Now, thank you very much.
They're confused.
Isaac's on the witness stand, and I've asked him, would you look around the courtroom, Mr. Isaac, and can you identify those individuals you just described?
We're contesting the zone.
And we're sitting right in front of him. He's pointing to him and saying, you are the one who did this to me, and that's why we're in this courtroom. He says, I don't know.
A key witness in the trial of reputed mob boss John
Enemies
Gotti
dropping
suffers
into the AO.
amnesia on the witness stand today.
You believe that the witness was coerced in some fashion?
I believe he was afraid. I believe he testified in fear of his life.
All night, Solomon and Gotti.
After Pajak testified,
High value zone identified.
one of the
Lock it
classic
down to
New
earn
York
points faster.
Mierda!
Primary targets are marked. Get after them. We have the zone.
And a
Defend it.
legend was born.
Heads up. Enemies in the
And
zone.
after that,
We hold the
it was
zone.
non-stop coverage of John Gotti.
The enemy's attacking the zone. Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
In New York, at a time when there was a homeless crisis, when there was a crack epidemic, when slavery had been busted in New York,
Oh, shit.
there was the beginning of the welfare.
We control the
The
zone.
news was grim in New York during the 80s. So when somebody comes along and he looks like a superhero,
The enemy's attacking the zone. Zone secure.
Get over. New York is to get over town.
We have the
He's
zone.
getting over.
Defend it.
We love that.
Heads up. Enemies in the zone.
Now he's on the cover of New York Magazine.
We're advancing on the zone.
He has power.
We're contesting
He
the
has
zone.
reach. And it just kept snowballing and snowballing.
Secure the new zone.
This was the beginning of the cowboy era.
Bro, you suck. You're not Ryan Shield, bro. You suck, bro. And that wasn't even him. That was third party. Man, they got a trophy system there, like as if I was throwing shit at them.
Go get your revenge.
Wise guys are fucking egomaniacs. John was an egomaniac. One thing about wise guys, even for myself, you know, that sort of shit, they love when they see names in the paper.
Enemy soldier
I know
incoming.
the first time my name was ever in the newspaper, I was thrilled. When I went out that Friday, I was like, oh my God, I was like a celebrity. I'm sure John did.
Zone contested. We control the zone.
So it was definitely exciting. But at the end of the day,
Lead's
you know,
ours.
we'll pay the
Enemies are
price.
targeting you. Expect contact.
part of the homicide investigation until you run out of things to do. And we ran all the leads down and we realized we weren't going to solve this thing unless we had a break.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
Some criminal conversations, but not quite enough that we could actually make, a winnable case out of it.
The government says
high-value zone is online.
Biggest mob in the country. But Gotti is a free man.
When John Gotti became the head of the Gambino crime family, the FBI did not have a case against him. The OCTF did not have a case against him. But we did. We had a good case against him, and we were prosecuting that case. My name is Diane Giacalone, and I was an assistant U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of New York.
They cannot find me. I'm alone over here on this spot.
Mission time is half over. Keep the lead secure.
The Paycheck trial was the appetizer for the entree.
Enemy soldier
the entree
incoming.
Comes, and that's the federal trial in the Eastern District.
Zone's
in
updating
Brooklyn.
in 15
U.S.
seconds.
government against John Gotti.
New zones identified. Get them locked down.
Fuck that, I have that zone down like a motherfucker. Oh, I gotta see if I can get that. I got a lockdown joint. Oh, that's fire.
We had more than enough evidence to convict John Gotti and his crew.
Enemies dropping
But
into
we
the
were
AO.
absolutely unprepared.
You're getting
for
another
fire
chance.
storms.
Make it count. Zones are online.
Oh, I broke my fucking leg.
Ammo here. Planting mine.
Oh my goodness, look at this. This shit taking me 10 years to come back.
Many mob guys have little nicknames because of something they've done or something they do. It's like they like bananas, they call them Joey Bananas. With me, I was labeled Salio Boss because in Italian it's pazzo, crazy, pazzo. Because I would do outrageous things. When I was 31 years old, I got a mob
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies. Get ready. You're redeploying. High-value zone marked. Secure to earn additional points.
I flew down to Florida.
We have the zone. Defend it.
He gave me a UPS uniform, a UPS truck, and I went to the house, knocked on the door, and had a little box. I was delivering a box. The girlfriend opened the door. I pushed him to the side, went in there, put a knife to his throat, and tied him down to the pulpit.
You supposed to have first.
I took his pants off.
The enemy's attacking the zone. Seconds left.
Cartoons of the mafia.
Enemies dropping into the AO.
His wife, don't sell drugs, and never cooperate. I mean, that's back then.
New zones located. Get them secure.
You have to keep everything secret. You're never allowed to any information.
Boy, I know he wasn't trying to shoot me through the fucking wall. He was definitely trying to shoot me through the wall just now, bro.
You rat, you get tortured. They cut pieces of you and burn you. They
New zones are ready for capture.
Many times the mob would leave the
We are
body
returning you to the
out.
front. Earn this.
They wanted to show an example of disrespect and disorder.
Enemy soldier incoming. Zone secure. You lost the lead. You're no longer being tracked.
Organized crime family is on trial in New York.
Prosecutors charged that John Gotti has murdered his way to the top of the mob.
My name is Diane Giacalone. During the 1980s, I was an assistant U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of New York. We investigated organized crime, we investigated drug cases, hijacking cases, pretty much everything. And in 1985, we filed...
I'm on this dude's ass right now.
John Gotti and 8 members of the Gambino family. The charges were murder, illegal gambling, loan sharking, and trafficking.
Secured the advantage. Stay sharp. Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
The nation's most powerful crime family.
I know he gonna try to come for me.
As we're focusing on John, and we're evolving as to how we're gonna attack the case, suddenly we get word that
we lost the lead.
Bruh, I don't know how. He must have got a high volume zone.
The FBI didn't have anything to do with that.
Yeah.
Zones are
We were
relocating
investigating Gotti separately. So there's a lot of conflict over this.
Overtime. High value zones are your primary objective.
So we were the ones on the line to bring him down. We thought that we had more than enough evidence to convict John Gotti and his crew.
The charges cover an 18-year period when Gotti was a mafia capo before he became family boss. If convicted, Gotti could face 20 years in prison. Outside the court.
This is a GG.
Frenzy, electric atmosphere.
Enemy soldier incoming.
I've never been in a trial that had this kind of national media attention.
We had a trial with incredible characters. We had John Gotti.
I just leveled up. Let's see how far I got from this.
We had Diane Giacalone.
Some prosecutors didn't want the case. One did. Diane Giacalone.
A girl from the neighborhood.
The enemy took down, but we'll get him back.
We had John Gotti's lawyer, who's total.
John Gotti.
A boy from Brooklyn who was obviously in love with this man, John Gotti.
Bruce Cutler. It's comical. I think he wanted to fucking be John Gotti. He dressed like John Gotti, and he would shake our hands and kiss us on the cheek like a white guy.
And we had 3 other people, defense attorneys, who defended their clients.
I would have to say, if I have one rule of thumb, it's I really never ask the client what happened, because frankly, I don't really give a fuck. What's important to me is what the government says it can. And that's what being a defense lawyer is about.
My name is Michael Shapiro, and September of 85.
Oh, they was in a group. That's why. Look at that. Second place, though. Stop playing.
The primary charges were RICO charges. RICO is Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organization Act. The beauty of RICO charge from a prosecutor's perspective is that you can use crimes for which there have already been convictions. The defense team knew that the government had never lost a RICO case. The Gotti case, one of the charges was the killing of
370. Let's go.
Gotti had pleaded guilty. He did prison time on that charge.
Maybe the highest prestige for a COD if they can keep this shit going like this.
And the other charges under the RICO indictment in furtherance of the enterprise of the
Yeah, we got 42 days, so basically a whole another month.
Diane Giacalone
what, 2 weeks?
set out to try to prove.
I'm a young guy, only on the job 5 years. I've got a lot of, as the saying goes, piss and vinegar in me. I'm sitting in the back row of the court. John stands up and he's looking around the courtroom and he sees me. I'm not a small person. And says, hey, who are you? So, I kind of stood up and I did one of these. I said, are you talking to me? He goes, yeah, who are you? I said, oh, my name's George Gabriel. I'm on Bruce Mouth's squad. Just, here to kind of observe and, well, you go tell that Bruce Mouth that I'm going to come home. I'm beating this racket. Oh, okay. Tell you what, if you do, I'll come by and congratulate you.
At the time, I didn't know, and I don't think a lot of reporters knew. The FBI didn't want Giacalone to be doing this case. So there was this tension.
When Diane Giacalone brought charges against John Gotti and his crew, in that crew was a man named Willie Boy Johnson, who was a Gotti loyalist. He'd been with Gotti since they were boys. But he was also a rat.
Willie Boy Johnson had been cooperating with the FBI for years. But nobody knew. We didn't share that with anyone.
We went to Diane Giacalone, asking her not to indict him. I would tell my bosses, if we don't do something about this and put a stop to this, he's going to be killed by Gotti if it becomes known that he was an informant.
Willie Boy Johnson was not just an FBI informant, he was also a violent criminal. He was intimately involved in some of the most violent conduct that the crew committed, and we could not separate him from the indictment and still bring the case.
In the courtroom, Diane Giacalone, to the horror of the FBI, explained to the judge that
we wanted to remand one of the defendants because he had been an informant for 15 years.
They call him Willie Boy. He is sitting next to John Gotti, but he is far, far from close.
It was pretty shocking. Gotti was sitting right next to him.
The way it was revealed was terrible. Willie Boy was around for years. He was a big earner. He knew all the 5 families.
After they picked Willie Boy up off the floor, John Gotti gave him a look that would have killed him. You wouldn't want to take a life insurance policy out on him if you were an insurance company, that's for sure.
We took no pleasure in what we did, but we did what was necessary. We knew that his life expectancy was not good.
When we have an informant, part of our pitch is we will not disclose your identity. Diane Giacalone threw that out the window.
In court today, Assistant U.S. Attorney Diane Giacalone began her opening statement by telling the jury.
Diane Giacalone gave a pretty good opening statement in that trial. Quite impressive.
We started with the McGratney homicide because it showed John Gotti's rise to power. Then I talked about the various elements of the indictment. So we went through the loan sharking, we went through the hijacking, we went through the gambling.
Giacalone claims several crimes from which other defendants in this trial have already served time were not isolated incidents, but part of a conspiracy to work together to commit crimes.
When I sat down, I felt I did my job, and I felt pretty good about it. That was probably the last time I felt at home in the courtroom.
Gotti's attorney, Bruce Cutler, immediately went on the attack.
Bruce Cutler crucified her.
Bruce told the jury to think of the charges as a rancid stew. And the reason I remember that is I wrote it for him. He said you can't make a stew that anyone is going to swallow out of all of these rotten ingredients, no matter how long you cook it.
And in fact, in his opening statement,
Bruce Cutler just picked up the indictment and basically said it was a piece of garbage, and he tore it in half. Extremely dramatic. The jury could not take their eyes off him, and then he just
threw the indictment in the trash can in the courtroom. He said,
"That's where this indictment belongs, in the garbage can." Talk about a flourish. Talk about drama. It was a moment.
Diane's case had a lot of cooperators in it. Always a lot of risk in that. We're not talking people walking the street. We're talking people who were in and around organized crime.
Who else testifies in a mafia trial?
I was the first witness in the John Gotti 1987 trial, and I was like the star witness. In 1984, I was arrested with 4 ounces of cocaine. I was held on $1 million bail. While I was in prison in the summer of '84, my wife came to visit me. My two sons were outside the visiting room waiting. When she left, I saw my two kids crying. That was the moment where I decided I gotta flip. I gotta get out of this life. I don't want to keep torturing them. Finally, one day I made a phone call. I'm gonna work with the government. Little did I know, 2 years later, the government was gonna call me to testify against John Gotti.
South Policing had a lot of history with the crew, and he told it, and he told it well. He's a smart man, he was articulate.
And then Bruce got up, and he just, I've heard the word Brucified, and it's a fantastic way to describe how Bruce approached cross-examination.
Bruce Cutler, he attacked me every day for 7 days, and he really pummeled me and called me a lowlife, a yellow dog, and he found out details about me, about how many girls I had one night, cut me nice balls off. I had to do everything that was true. So I was saying that he took his right hand and put it on the table and made like a gun. And I knew what he was saying. We're gonna kill you.
As well as South Policing. Diane Giacolone is counting on a few witnesses.
8 witnesses of violent affairs, witnesses who got new identities, witnesses who sold drugs, witnesses who killed people.
They were some of the most impeachable witnesses imaginable. A veritable zoo of lowlifes.
James Cornell, key witness against John Gotti.
And each of them gets on the stand, and one after the other is less credible.
Cornell admitted that he didn't want to be in the witness chair, but it was a lot better than the electric chair in Florida, where he committed murder.
A second witness the government called was Dominic LaFaro.
Dominic LaFaro admitted today that he originally lied to federal authorities. At first he said he killed more than 15 people. Today he said it was only 2.
We were basically being portrayed as incompetent.
The government's case against John Gotti took a beating today. A bank robber named Matthew Trainer was on the stand. He was supposed to be a witness against Gotti.
Matthew Trainer was a problematic witness, but a useful witness, until I didn't trust him anymore. He started to say things that didn't make sense to me. And at that point, we decided we would not use him as a witness.
He actually testified for the defense and said that Diane Giacolone had tried to bribe him.
Given the drugs I wanted? Was he on liquor?
He said she gave him her panties from the bottom desk drawer so that he could take care of himself.
I was provided with a kinky sexual release.
Matthew Trainer was later convicted of perjury for his testimony. I turned to my co-counsel and said, what juror in his right mind would believe this shit?
Traditionally in New York, the prosecutors publicly do not engage with the press. Defense attorneys, that's what they get paid for. Bruce knew how to engage with the press better than any other defense lawyer I've ever dealt with. He knew how to use the press. He knew how to amuse the press.
Gotti had his own media-spinning PR outfit, like the White House press secretary. Lawyer Bruce Cutler charged that the government doesn't like sharp dressers, gamblers, people like John Gotti.
I never knew that I had a bias against sharp dressers. I thought I was a pretty sharp dresser myself.
Bruce Cutler was always walking around. The government will do anything to put John Gotti in jail.
Cutler maintained that the government is just out to get Gotti. They're hoping the jury will see that narrative. They want the public to see that narrative. They're hoping the jurors' families will see that narrative.
All this just reinforced the image of John Gotti. He's always been a very respectable person in the community, and the public ate it up. Well, I find it very hard to believe what they're saying about him. What a godfather. He's just a good man.
Good evening. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rattle reporting.
They returned the verdict on Friday.
Nah, more like that top pack, bro. Top pack.
Park in upstate New York with my radio on all through 88.
That's top pack. That's it.
With my partner, we're driving around. We actually hear the news comes out of the radio in the car.
John Gotti was acquitted by a jury on all counts of conspiracy and racketeering.
He was found not guilty on all counts.
Disbelief, I think, was the main feeling. Disbelief. I felt that I had been beaten, physically beaten. My body was actually sore.
The result was a major defeat in the government's fight against organized crime.
John Gotti strode out of that courthouse like a star.
In a 6-month trial, the government couldn't make their case stick. Were you surprised?
I was flabbergasted. It was the first successful defense of a RICO case.
The vindication was proper, and we both expected it. We're very pleased with the verdict.
When the not guilty verdict came in, people were saying, oh, Bruce Cutler, he's the best attorney. No, it wasn't Bruce Cutler. It really wasn't Bruce Cutler. The case was beat because somebody paid the juror $60,000.
Juror then taken home by federal marshals in limos.
I told Diane Jackalone, I cannot believe that you got the jurors getting in a limo and driving all over Brooklyn and dropping them off. You think the mob is stupid? They're following him. John Gotti's gonna pay somebody off. She said, Sal, you're watching way too much television. I laughed. You know, when you got a critic, I go, oh yeah, he pulled it off.
John Gotti had a lot to smile about as he picked his way through the cameras outside his home.
I didn't find out till later that there was a compromised jury. There were many signals I missed. I missed the fact that John Gotti never was nervous. Never. He was just as cheery as could be. He knew that he could not be convicted. And so what would have been an extraordinarily risky defense for any other defendant was just sport for him.
When the verdict came in not guilty, there was a big party.
And I turned to my partner and I said, let's head right to the Bergen Mountain Fish Club. And the place was a monster. I spot John Gotti. I walk straight up to him. I said, hey, you probably don't remember me. I'm George Gabriel. I told you I'd be here to congratulate you. Congratulations. I'll be seeing you. And I turned around and got back in the car and we left.
You know, after that trial, he got a vote, and on the back of the vote, he named it not guilty.
The government says John Gotti is a cold-blooded killer, perhaps the most ruthless and powerful mob boss.
Not him getting a vote after that. Not guilty.
Why is the guy so popular?
He went from being the criminal mob boss to the New York American celebrity.
Recently, Gotti made the big time.
Time magazine commissioned Andy Warhol to do a portrait of Gotti that would be on the cover.
You have all these heroes in the world that do great things for our country, and they're not on the cover of Time magazine, but a mob boss is.
Mr. Gotti is almost as famous for his sartorial splendor as for his reputation as a crime overlord.
That's when he got the nickname.
The man they call the Dapper Don.
Because of Gotti, we were movie stars because people wanted to be like us.
The celebrities wanted to hang out with us. I'm blowing coke with Andy Warhol. I'm blowing coke with David Bowie. They trusted us, number one. They knew we weren't going to call up the magazines. They knew we had good coke.
It's great because you're around so much money, excitement, prestige, glamour.
I mean, I was with him one night. Brooke Shields stuck her phone number in his pocket, Club A, and he ripped it up. I told him, what the fuck are you doing? He goes, my daughter's age. Give me the number.
Okay, we're back with a prank on America's most famous alleged godfather, New York's downtown John Gotti.
You see him on TV when he's wearing his $2,000 suit. His hair is perfect. People see him, they love him. He's a star. But behind closed doors, he's a ruthless killer.
Look what happened to the poor guy who allegedly had a job before him. See what Heinz said Johnson did?
John Gotti is 2 for 2 in the win column.
The Diane Giacalone trial was primarily based all on informant testimony. So the next case, which would have to use electronic surveillance with John Gotti himself, was intercepted in many, many conversations. We still had the bug evidence from the Brody Hunt Fish Club. We had tremendous conversations. So we still had every intention to make a real case.
We had conversations that no one else could possibly have, and so we were competition for the FBI, and that meant the FBI needed to step up its game.
The FBI has yet to bring a case against John Gotti, but we knew the crimes he was responsible for, and he's walking the streets. He and everybody else knew that the government was going to come back at him. The government had no choice. Whenever you undertake one of these cases, you got to work closely with the prosecuting attorney. In this case, it was the Eastern District of New York. Laura Ward was a very knowledgeable prosecutor, very skilled, very brilliant. I mean, she was great to work with.
After Diane Giacalone's case, the FBI immediately focused on Gotti, and now we were going to take him down. George Gaber was appointed with the task of getting Gotti.
I was not going to be in a rush. I knew that to put this guy in jail, if he was able to beat the feds once, you had to be really good at whatever your evidence was going to be. Had to be airtight, had to be very strong.
George was on a mission to get Gotti, but he had to get Gotti good.
So while we're working the case on John, we're surveilling him and doing our thing. Suddenly, I get a call from one of the squads in New Jersey.
A man was killed mob style outside his home in Brooklyn this morning. The victim, Wilfred Willie Boy Johnson, who police call a close associate of alleged mob boss John Gotti.
That guy's destiny was already written. That guy was going. He was going to sleep.
Johnson was shot several times in the head outside his home.
One of the unwritten rules is you don't kill a guy in front of his house. That's insult to his wife and kids. So if they really hate a guy and you want to send a message, they'll whack him and cut out his house.
I'm sorry that he was killed. I feel very sorry for his family. But it was an inevitable end to a life that led in only one direction.
The day after Willie Boy Johnson was murdered by Gotti's men.
Morning, Mr. Gotti.
Comes out of his house. We say, what do you think of Willie Boy Johnson's? What's your opinion? What do you think? And he said, well, we all gotta go sometime.
A couple of months into his administration, informants started saying that Gotti was going to set up his headquarters at the Ravenite.
Okay. When Sean took over the Ravenite, he gutted it out, he built a brick wall, he made a little small window so you couldn't see in. I would say he fortified it.
The Ravenite's located in Little Italy. Little Italy has every organized crime family hanging out there. They've got restaurants, they've got clubs. It's their backyard. So we're the outsiders. We can't go in there without being spotted. Everybody in those apartments on the streets are loyal to the wise guys. So it's very difficult to do anything.
We supply people with jobs. On Thanksgiving, we got our turkeys. People worked with us and trusted us. And we helped them. We helped the community. If people came to us for favors, we did them.
I'm not afraid. In fact, I feel safer. You feel safer? I sure do.
Why is that?
My cars have been stolen in every area but this one.
In Ozone Park, on Mulberry Street, we're the bad guys. We're not the good guys.
Despite that, you have to do your job, right? So I have to get in my van, and I have a surveillance in it, and try and park it to get a good position on the club. You get in the back with all your cameras, and you wait until people start showing up. There'd be several times these guys would be walking down the street, and they're knocking on every van saying, "We know you're in there, we know you're in there." The hope was to try and get a plan someplace, right? Some fixed location that I could keep a camera on the front of the club, and then we could be a little bit more secretive.
We found this condo was on the 6th floor, about 2.5 blocks away.
The good news was we had a plan. Kind of our home base of operation. The bad news was it was 2.5 blocks away. I had access to special ops teams, and we got fortunate because the Bureau had some very, very high-tech equipment. Not a lot of people knew it existed. I didn't know it existed.
The technically trained agent, one of our primary duties was to devise, implement, and install surveillance devices in order to get the evidence to successfully prosecute the mafia in New York City. We installed state-of-the-art telescopic video surveillance equipment that allowed us to record the activity at the entrance to the Ravenite and the street adjacent to the Ravenite 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
The beauty of it was you could take video 2.5 blocks away and make it look like I was 100 feet away. Even at 8 o'clock at night in the middle of winter, you would think it was 3 in the afternoon.
The video camera from that plant gives a beautiful black and white picture of these guys coming and going. And you identify who they are and what they were wearing, and sometimes what kind of cars they came out. It's just tremendous bonanza of intelligence.
It was mind-blowing to have that kind of technology. John was always there with his administration.
And the most incredible and helpful thing that God did for us is every Wednesday night, he had the capos come down with their associates and soldiers as a group.
It was John Gotti, Frankie Locascio, Sammy Gravano.
So he basically gave us the outline of the family.
The mob is supposed to be a secret organization. Having everybody show up at one place in broad daylight is not particularly secret.
John Gotti was a gangster. He didn't give a fuck about the FBI. He didn't give a fuck if the FBI took your picture. He put everybody on Front Street, and he felt like, you're in this life, you're gonna come to see me. You ain't gonna be afraid of the cops. You ain't gonna be a captain or a wise guy hiding in your house. You're gonna come here, like I'm here every day.
It was not the smartest thing to do, but John Gotti thought he's invincible. Gotti didn't just stay inside the club. What he would do, he'd go out on walk talks around the block.
You could see the dynamics of the hierarchy of people. So, for example, there was a time John and Sammy are going for a walk, and it starts to drizzle, and Sammy's holding the umbrella for John. John's not going to hold the umbrella, right? And then you look 2 or 3 feet behind them are the bodyguards, the guys that are supposed to sit there and protect them. Other times you'll see if people are coming up to greet John, they're going to greet John before they greet Sammy. So all of those are little telling factors that give you an idea of what the administration looks like, the who's who, and the closeness of some people, and or the distance of others.
Once we had people coming and going, we had informants telling us, John Gotti was in there talking, and he was talking about crime. But we had no idea what they're saying. So armed with that information, we made an application to go up on a bug inside the social club.
Once we knew we were going to bug the Ravenite, I then go back to the special ops and figure out how we're going to make this happen.
We didn't really have any real-time practical knowledge of what the actual layout of the inside of the Ravenite Social Club was. Where were people sitting? Where was John? Where was his lieutenants? Where were the conversations taking place?
Sometimes the tech guys have to go in, kind of scan the place, figure out what equipment they're going to have to bring in.
Because when we would later go back at night, in the middle of night, in the dark, knowing what was in the room and knowing how it was configured, it would help us tremendously. Obviously, law enforcement personnel can't just walk in on Mafia Social Club in broad daylight. So we had to get them to invite us in, frankly. And the way we did that was to do what we called a trouble call. Basically, place a little bit of technical trouble in some of the telephone capabilities of the Internet, which preempted somebody in the Gambino family to call for a New York telephone repairman, but instead they had the friendly members of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, SO1, visit their location. I arrived off the street as a repair certification.
We're headed to the war zone. Get geared
When I
up
first
and
walked
stand
into
by.
there tonight, it was very apparent that the interior was very rudimentary.
Enemies dropping into the
Interestingly
AO.
enough, there was a portrait of God in the back of a room where he would sit. We were able to observe that there was a bookmaking operation going on in there, and they had what appeared to be a fax machine connected to a phone line. And in no uncertain terms,
Enemy
wanted me
soldier
to get
incoming.
the effing thing fixed as soon as I can.
All stations, green light. We are deploying to the war
They really
zone.
appreciate it. We were able to fix their problem, quote unquote. And they were overdoing it. One of the members of the crew walked up and handed me two brand new $100 bills.
Lockdown.
Being a good
Your objective is to capture and secure those zones. Get after it.
I accepted it. Left the scene.
Zones located. Get them secure.
Several members of the SO1 technical squad out to pizza and beer that day.
Stand by for new zones.
Damn, bro, man, I think we came over here.
The Ravenite had two rooms. John had a table in the back room that he would typically sit at the
New zones
The
online.
bunk had to be as close as he could get to that table.
Time for vengeance. You're redeploying.
Hey, when they do that, when they don't count my kills, bro. Like, that wasn't even an assist right there.
I was one of only 6 specially trained SWAT agents in the country. I had a partner, Ken Reed.
Zone secure.
His band was brilliant.
Heads up. Enemies in the zone.
Now, what he was going to do is he was going to impression a key with a Ravenite. And impressioning is something that's been done by blacksmiths for the last 100 years. It's a bit of an art. You put the key blank inside the cylinder, and into the mark, and you pull it out, you file it, and you keep doing that.
Enemies dropping into the AO.
Eventually you wind up getting the key to open the door. It normally takes about 15 minutes.
Stand by for redeployment.
In this particular case, it took them 3-4 hours because every time the coast was clear, Kenny would almost get to the door. Call them off and say, no, somebody's coming.
Enemies in the lead. Marking their locations.
But by the end of the night, we wound up with a key and we were ready to go to do our vacant.
Get ready. You're redeploying. 15 seconds before zones relocate. Enemy soldier incoming. We hold the zone. Zones have relocated. Get moving.
Watch ourselves in very, very low light with very small flashlights in our teeth.
New zones coming online.
Some audio tests.
Hey, 1234, 4221, can you hear me, Charlie?
And Charlie would come back on the radio and he'd say,
Bob, clear.
it was a very cool orchestration.
Enemies dropping into the AO.
Within 1 to 2 hours, we were gone.
Once we get the bug, it's exciting to get to the plant, put those headsets on, listen to all of the tapes to see if there was anything that was usable. There's an ice machine in the front, there's a cappuccino machine in the front.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the
Every
skies.
sound that you can imagine. So you know there's a lot of conversation going on, you're not hearing anything.
I just could not believe it. You couldn't hear a thing.
High value
I
zone
mean,
marked.
it was a complete
Secure 10 additional points.
If the mics are not in the best position, you regroup with the special ops guy. Do anything we can do to enhance this. And then you gotta weigh the risk of trying to go back in.
We must have entered the
Enemies
midnight
dropping into the
more than
AO.
a dozen times over a 14-month period, constantly moving the mics around.
We readjusted the bug, we moved it next to the table, we moved it
15 seconds
the
left.
table. We tried different things, but acoustically it was just a disaster. Too many people in a small place. And that's where it really got frustrating because we had the video plan, we could see these guys coming and going, we could see the walk talks.
An enemy squad is halfway to victory. Get in control.
We knew we couldn't rely on it. We knew we had to do better.
Zones will be active. Get ready.
Ah, lucky, yo. Oh my goodness.
Even though we had heard that the FBI had their own bug up, we still had every intention to make a run for this. So we went back to
You're back on station. Go get after it.
recorded inside the Bergen
Zones are active.
in 1986.
Greg comes to see me one morning. He had been listening over and over again.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the
Bug
skies.
and found something that everybody missed. Greg knows something. And you have to know Greg to appreciate this. He wrote a note.
And I put it on his desk that night. We didn't post it for him that he's got to take a look at the transcript.
In the event that while he's
You're getting
gone
another
home,
chance.
he's been in an
Make it
accident
count.
and was unable to tell us the next day.
So the conversation was going to set.
We have the zone.
Who went to a place called Bankers and Brokers.
Zone contested.
Bankers and Brokers.
Enemy soldier incoming.
Non-union coffee.
High
Bro, come on, yeah, like.
Because the Carpenters Union was controlled by the mob. What happens is, took it upon himself to go there and have the place torn apart after it was fixed. The guy that owns the restaurant is with John Gotti, one of his soldiers, and now the gang don't know how to step in.
Oh my god, he's fucking intense and shit.
Zone's updating in 15 seconds. Enemies dropping into the AO. Resurging. Go get your revenge.
Vice President of Local 608 of the United Carpenters Union.
New zone's located. Get them secure.
O'Connor walked into this building at Broadway and 51st Street, which houses his office.
Mentioned that
We are returning you to the front.
bust him up.
Earn this.
O'Connor was shot 4
Stand by
times.
for new zones.
I listened to the recording, and it was great. It was dynamite.
New zones are ready for capture.
Suddenly, we hear Gotti's been arrested.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies. We have the zone. Defend it. Heads up. Enemies in the zone.
Bro, get out of here!
A source that I had is the FBI, and he said John Gotti's not been arrested. If John Gotti were arrested, I would know. But he
Stand by for
and the
redeployment.
reason he didn't know is because the New York State Organized Crime Task Force was acting on its own. Was not working with the FBI.
OCPF wanted the publicity of putting John Gotti in jail. And because we couldn't make a case fast enough, they brought the O'Connor case to the Manhattan DAs, and they went forward with it. Right now, it's almost a competition. Oh, they can't do it to you.
That's what I hear.
I definitely need points down, man.
So all these people were competing against each
That's
other
what
for the
sweaty.
glory of prosecuting John Gotti.
John Gotti was, daring them. Like, I dare you to come get me. He was like, fuck you.
The enemy's closing on the objective. Drive them back. Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
I knew him since I was a young kid. He was a mentor.
15 seconds before zones relocate.
When I was 16 years old, I got thrown out of school. I wanted to be a gangster.
Get them locked down.
Father would talk to me. So I went to John Gotti and Tony, and father's partner. He goes, okay, I'll get you in the Bricklayers Union. I said, well, what do you want to do? I goes, I want to work for you. I'll have to get a look at it. It's over. You want to work for me? Listen, you're going to getting married, you're selling drugs, you're fucking poisoning your
online. Enemies dropping into the AO.
Before you get into this life, go to Washington, D.C. and look at the Justice Department building. You should remember one thing. That fucking building will change you your whole life.
Time for vengeance. You're redeploying. We have the zone. Defend it. The enemy's attacking the zone. We control the zone.
Ordering the 1986 shooting.
Enemy soldier incoming.
A Carpenters Union official.
Unlike past Gotti cases, This time, the Organized Crime Task Force, so John Gotti will have to deal with
High-value zone located.
We charged ahead with the evidence we had to bring a state prosecution to the focal point of that investigation became the shooting of John
Overtime.
Gotti.
All zone values been increased. Zone secure.
We were up for this challenge, and John Gotti was going down.
John Gotti, how do you think he started looking in that building? After his arraignment, Gotti was released for $100,000 bail.
Zone contested.
And so the next
Ah.
put John Gotti away.
And the repeat offender, if Gotti is found guilty, he will be sentenced to life in prison.
Right now, it's almost a competition.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
So
We are
this
returning you to the front.
Kind of a black eye to the Bureau. We're getting beat up, right? You know, it's, you guys can't put this guy in jail.
As attorneys, we worked hand in hand with the FBI. Even though the case of O'Connor's shooting was going on, we weren't going to stop.
When Gotti was out on bail, we're 8 and 10 months into going in the regular club. I wasn't getting the Eureka conversation. We were getting snippets. We're hearing John move away from the table, the door opening and shutting. You don't hear him anymore. What's going on?
The FBI agents, they don't see Gotti leave, but nobody hears his loud voice. And if you knew Gotti never stopped. And we didn't know where he went.
Then all of a sudden, 20 minutes later, we hear John's voice again.
Hey, shut your fucking mouth.
What are we missing?
We had several high-level informants, and one of them came back to us and said, oh, by the way, I was in the club and I saw John Gotti, his underboss, Frank Lacasse, and Timmy Vilgarbano, Consigliere, would get up, walk through this back door, and they disappeared for an hour and 15. You know, there was a back door to that club.
Oh, there's an apartment upstairs that he's using. Old lady, wife of a deceased Gambino soldier that used to be the caretaker, lives in this apartment. If you know, you're looking at this like, you gotta be kidding me. There was no doubt in my mind. That's the place I had to get a bunk in. Now we have to figure out the how. What I start doing is I dial the phone on a Friday or Saturday night. If she answered, obviously I knew she was home. The first time I do this, right, I wake up at 1 in the morning, I get this poor 90-year-old lady getting on the phone. I'm sorry, I have the wrong number. And I mean, I felt terrible. But I had to do it again the next week, and this next week it was the same thing. I was actually astonished the third time. My heart started racing when she actually didn't answer the phone. It was like, all right, this is go time, but it's equally as nerve-wracking because, you know, a lot of risk to this.
On the night of the entry, there was a high level of anxiety to get the job done and get out undetected.
Surveillance watched the comings and goings in that building. And just before we went into it, he wanted double and triple check everything. So a female surveillance agent went up to the third floor. The damn apartment 6 feet behind us has a damn door. And the door goes crazy. In New York, it's always a goddamn curveball. We had to take the gamble. We had to take the chance. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning. We get in that hallway, and it was the quietest hallway I've ever been in my life. Nobody had a television on, a radio on, nothing. It was eerie. And we figured when we get up to that door, that dog is going to be all over us. We knew there was no turning back. There I am, it's November, and I'm walking around with my socks on. That would have probably been a clue that I was a burglar. My partner started kicking, and I could hear the pins going up and down. It was that quiet. The lock is giving us a little bit of a hard time. A little bit of jiggling and rattling. Sure as hell was going to wake that damn door up. We were just holding our breath all the time. About 10 minutes later, we were in. The dog must have been put in the back room. It's the only way he could not turn us.
The acoustics of her apartment were excellent. It wasn't big, there were no echoes, there was no background noise.
And within 15 minutes, we had that bug up and running. And we really feel that, boy, if they're talking up here, this is it, we've done it. It was a home run.
I get the call the next morning, the bug's in.
Use this time for some target breaks.
This should be
Real
it.
thing's coming soon.
First night, nothing. Next night, I get a message. No principals in the location.
Enemies dropping into
No
the
personal
AO.
conversation. I know he's in the club. Third night. No principals in the location. No pertinent conversation. So I'm up at least 3 days and I get nothing. That was a concern.
Did they get paid? Did somebody find a bug or a loose piece of wire? Did they make a mistake? You never know.
Once I have a bug, you're not allowed to keep it up forever. Every 30 days I have to go back to the judge and report.
Enemy soldier incoming.
Fruitful, I'm getting criminal conversations. So if I don't, I jeopardize my wire. The judge could throw the whole thing in. We
All
gotta do something
stations,
about
this
that.
is Shadow 01. Deployment to the war zone has been authorized.
When you do eavesdropping, is sometimes you want them to talk about a certain subject. Let's tickle the wire.
You want things that will tickle conversations. Tickle is meaning something happened, they can come back and talk about it. We even went as far as to arrange that America's Most Wanted would do a special on the forecast on
Lockdown. Secure those zones to earn points for your squad. Squad with the most points wins. Target area is located. Get those zones secured.
Who was it killed, Paul Costello? Well, God, the FBI said that John got his own state square.
Stand by for new zones. Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
I was on my honeymoon when I got a phone call from the FBI to tell me
they're in the apartment, we can hear everything crystal clear, and they're even talking about Paul. We gotta go.
You're
I didn't think I could be any happier on my honeymoon. Oh, I was definitely happier.
Don't forget this. Right, they did. You're walking to the apartment, and there they are.
And it's, you know, it's kind of like the Godfather music.
You're getting
in the
another
background.
chance.
And I'm like,
Make it
no
count.
one's gonna believe I didn't plan this to you. It's just too good to be true. So I'm hearing John Gotti.
Enemy soldier incoming.
They're talking about Castellano.
charging. Go get your revenge.
Without saying we killed Paul, John outlined why he was killed. We were ecstatic. Quality, content, everything was there. So what that conversation told me was, I finally was in the right place. Put a legal case against John and the Gambino family. I need 3 elements.
Stand by for redeployment.
The existence of the criminal enterprise.
Tracking locations of lead operators. Hunt them down.
And then I need 2 criminal acts. I have all of those elements, I can charge for 3. But by the time we get the bug conversations up, John's got another trial in the States.
We control the zone.
Case with the organized crime task.
Objective locations updated. Secure the new zone.
After a year out on bail, the alleged godfather arrives for his first day in state court.
We were really emboldened. We were roused up. We thought we had the evidence that we would convict John Gotti in a state case.
Gotti made the trip to the court through the logjam with cameras and hangers-on.
Prosecutors are aware of Gotti's celebrity, his folk hero status. Larger than life guy. Smiling, walks out, does fair world. Everybody wanted to keep him. To get him on camera, to get that one word, or that smile, or that look.
That was a gift. I'm Eric Shaw, Fox News.
You're back on station. Go get after it.
It's a state trial, and unlike the federal court, you can have a camera.
We hold the zone.
Let me see it, please. From day one, the proceedings were spiked with bitter salvos.
They never won. And I'll prove that to you ever saw him commit a crime.
Enemies dropping into the AO.
For about a week, he got fired. The start was unquestionably John Gotti himself, sitting smugly in his silk suit.
Alongside alleged Gambino soldier Tony Lee Guerrero.
High value zone marked. Secure to earn additional points.
This trial was different than the Diane Jackalone trial. The Diane Jackalone trial was primarily based all on informant testimony, all on people who were, terrible people in their own way, who were pleading guilty and testifying.
Bro, all those fucking assists or whatever. Bro, this is crazy, man. Fucking 1 kill, man. 1 kill.
Now, please play the team.
We definitely need a redemption game after this.
15 seconds before zones relocate. You're getting another chance. Make it count. We're contesting the zone. Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies. Zones have relocated. Get moving.
John Gotti knew. Yeah, that's what I said. Of course, he wasn't going to confess, but he knew that we got
new zones will be active soon. Get ready.
Get
ready. You're redeploying.
Of course, and totally reliable. Jurors can listen to it and decide for themselves what it says and who said it. So, having taken evidence in this
zones
case,
are active,
as opposed to the previous RICO case, was a great advantage.
We have the zone. Defend it. Enemies dropping into the AO.
Every single person in the courtroom, they were all wearing headphones. The defense attorneys, the prosecutors, the judge, the jury. John Gotti refused to wear the headphones. Outside of court, I asked him, Mr. Gotti,
how come you don't listen to the tapes? How come you don't put the earphones on?
I like Julio Iglesias.
Secure the lead.
I'd rather
Enemies have
listen
your
to Julio
location now.
Iglesias, the singer. And Gotti just seemed amused by the whole thing.
One of the good things about the trial with the O'Connor case was it happened while the bug was up in the apartment above the Ravenite. And so we would wait after the trial to see if Gotti was going to mention something that happened in the trial. Maybe admit something that he could knew about.
High value zone located. Enemy soldier incoming.
During the trial,
Oh,
John
his age.
walked around with that arrogance that we are the best. Despite that, John is keenly aware of the stakes of this OCPF.
Gotta pay attention to that, because I thought that shit pop up in yellow.
Halfway to mission complete. Now secure the victory.
He's bothered by the fact that they were able to.
So I can't get the kills. Let me at least get the zone.
While we're capturing it on tape. Telling these guys what should not happen while it's happening.
15 seconds left.
Shout out to everybody that been rocking me on this red side though.
He laid it out.
The grind is real. Everybody sleep, but I'm out here.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
That conversation.
New zones identified. Get them locked down.
John Gotti has a way of walking into a courthouse like he owns the place. A man whose suits are made of silk, but whose legal armor is made of Teflon.
We had heard that the defense attorneys were going to try to challenge whether John Gotti actually said bust him up.
My boy, why the hell did he just get stuck right there?
Prosecutors thought would bring down John Gotti.
The defense attorney was kind of gaslighted by anything that was on these tapes.
Enemies dropping into the AO. We control the zone.
Yes.
It's so clear. This is ridiculous. He clearly says bust him up. We kind of didn't even pay attention. We were all kind of laughing at it, that they're going to actually make that as part of their defense.
Those two words were key words in the whole box.
Okay, if I can't get the kills. Ah!
Bust him up.
What was meant by that? Do you know what was Mr. Gotti's mind when he said that?
Yes, sir.
Did you read his mind?
It was so brilliant and devious at the same time.
We are returning you to the front.
One juror.
Earn this. High value zone is online.
I think it's fairly obvious.
You know what's in his mind now?
I wish I knew.
Damn HG.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies. We have the zone. Defend it.
One of the days during the trial, we're listening to John when he's coming back, and he's still very concerned about the case.
Oh, they must be on teams splitting up. I swear, I gotta try that.
Also, on one of the next tapes, he has a conversation with Sammy Bogavano, where he wants to make Sammy the underboss of the family.
Because if you can split up against different zones, like, that's crazy.
We're losing this. Control those zones.
It showed how much respect
Enemy soldier incoming.
The confidence he had in Sandy in being able to run the family.
Zones have relocated. Get moving. Stand by for new zone.
Sammy wasn't a guy like John Gotti that came out at night. He was more low-key. Sammy had respect for Gotti, and he's Cosa Nostra. Sammy really was loyal to Gotti. He really was.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
We'll meet there some other time. Literally how it all works, who everybody is. It's a guy tutoring you on how the mob works. This was great for us. John's basically saying,
enemy's attacking the
I'm
zone.
never the game.
All zones are now worth more.
During the course of the trial, one of my investigators was at a bar one night with a bunch of FBI agents, and they said to him, "We're just salivating, waiting for you to lose this case so we can bring a case against them and show who can really convince him.
Time for vengeance.
Sounded like
You're
the FBI.
redeploying.
You know, at that time,
Enemies dropping into the
law
AO.
enforcement agencies suspected us
We're
both. The
advancing
FBI
on the
had
zone.
some bugs, but nobody knew. We didn't share that with anybody. We found drilled into all of our heads. You don't tell anybody anything.
We had to really be discreet and very careful as to who knows what's going on the stage, because John Gotti may find out and will jeopardize the wire.
There are not a lot of secrets among law
You're back on
enforcement
station.
people.
Go get after it.
We did go to the FBI and say, listen, we can't get anybody on jurisdiction. We will go into the judge.
We lost that one, but we'll get those sumbitches next time.
So, we made the FBI aware that if you hear something, please tell us.
While John's on trial with the state, I'm acutely listening, and we start hearing conversation about jurors, and it's clear.
Well, you better be dead. You better stop. Give us another one. You've been looking in the past, we looked at this. Give us a name.
There's no doubt in my mind they were going to try and get to a jury if they could. Because they've done that before.
And that wasn't me holding the zone that got me there just
Went
now.
back and forth with it, wrestled with the whole thing. The decision was, we don't have proof that anybody got compromised. We'll just live with that and not expose the wire.
The New York City jury is expected to begin deliberations today in the trial of John Gotti.
I was convinced, having known what the evidence was, and I think everybody in the courthouse, from what I heard, expected there to be a conviction.
I'm just concerned that I'm going to be able to keep this bug up a little bit longer till I can finish my case.
George has to have one tape replayed 9 times. For the first time, the ever-confident Gotti looked somewhat concerned.
They brought their appeals attorney in, and he sat at the defense desk with his law books open, ready to make an appeal on bail. John Gotti's physical posture indicated that he had a problem.
I was living with Tony Lee. I was with him every morning when he went to go to court. When they're waiting for the verdict to come in, John and Tony Lee made a pact that if they got convicted or got found out guilty, they weren't going to give the government any satisfaction and not make no gestures.
As to defendant John Gotti, are you trying to defend him guilty or not guilty of the first count of the indictment, charging him with the crime of conspiracy in the 4th degree?
We had a close-up of John Gotti's face with the camera in the courtroom for the verdict, and you can see the tension there.
We find him not guilty.
Look at John looked like this anyway. He still made a gesture.
I think everybody in the room, including John Gotti, was surprised.
My first assistant shows up at my door, and he said he's acquitted on all counts. And both of our faces just dropped.
The verdict was broadcast live, and that just increased the celebrity status of John Gotti.
He ran from the courthouse, pumping his fist, waving in the air. It was like, here is the conquering hero, here's the victor.
John Gotti is home free once more.
He had a victory party inside the Ravenite Club, and that was an all-day and all-night party. Later that day, fireworks started going off. The door opens, and John Gotti comes out with Sammy the Bull looking up at the fireworks. On the night of his acquittal, our city's reputed godfather stepped out of his lair to savor a celebration.
I rush over there to talk to John Gotti, and there's everybody in the world now. The press corps has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Mr. Gotti.
Check your gear and weapons. We'll be deploying shortly.
You hungry?
Come in. John Gotti and Frank Coffey are sitting at a huge round table. And Gotti says, we're drinking
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
We only have plastic cups. Is that okay? Now, raise my glass and I'll say,
Playtime's over. Stand by for deployment to the war zone.
The good news is he's on the street. My wife gets to survive. The bad news is this guy gets to take his right? It emboldened this guy that much more and made it again more important to look without him.
Good evening. His name is John Gotti. Tonight he's becoming known as the Teflon Don.
When Gotti beat the case a third time, that's when he really got the name of the Teflon
Control the
Don.
target areas to secure victory.
By the way.
Nothing stick to him. And he had
Zones are marked. Lock them down.
anything he said they would follow up on and report. You look at it, you wonder what's happening.
New zones will be active soon. Get ready.
They would ever be able to
Enemy soldier in.
bring them together. I remember
Zones are active.
Terrible thing for our society that a person who was a killer or a criminal was getting all this notoriety. I was trying to allow from this that we could still
Stand by for redeployment.
Later on, we learned the FBI had their own bug up during the trial. We had heard that John Gotti was trying to
Zone
get to the
secure.
jury in our trial.
You've been looking at the case.
When I found out, I was upset. I mean, there's no question about it. I know that if he found out about it and the bug that we had, we would have said something.
Resurging.
I don't
Go
know
get your
how I
revenge.
would have lived with myself if I had not. You don't do that.
Enemies dropping into the AO.
As he would beat these cases,
High value zone identified.
he was more flamboyant, he was more outgoing, he thought he was a movie star, he really did.
He's romantically involved with his own image.
You're getting another chance.
Glorious. He
Make
was
it
like,
count.
I'm John Gotti. This is who I am, and I'll put it in your face.
Strangers were coming up to him. Everybody
We hold
was,
his
"Can I have
own.
your autograph? Can I have your..." I mean, I witnessed that.
Today, Director, can we take a selfie? So he gives them the autograph. Get in the car.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
Kid, and how could he do that? What's wrong with him? He actually said, I have a public out there. They want to see
Zones are
me.
relocating
Well,
soon.
look, guys, we're not supposed to have a public. Like, we're not supposed to have, like, fans.
You definitely know if you're street smart. This is just not going to end well.
An enemy squad
You're not a
taking the
movie
lead.
star. You're a fucking
Marking their
boss of the
locations.
Tarantino
We have the
factory.
lead.
I'm like
Enemies are
one.
targeting your locations. Objective locations updated. Secure the new
fucking
zones.
guys, are they kidding me? He was abusing them. Like, I dare you to come get me. It came to a point where we were just red hot. The feds were all
Stand by
over
for
the
new
place.
zones.
They were on everybody, especially guys that were close to John. But yet none
Enemies
of us
dropping
stopped
into the
doing
AO.
what we were doing. It's like smoking cigarettes. I'm not going to get one hit with the guy behind me. Can you get it?
New zone online. We control the zone.
There was a lot of pressure for somebody to be the one that puts this guy in jail. We can't afford it to be. Because then if we
We
go
are
down,
returning you to
who's
the front.
right? And all
Earn
the other
this.
agencies took their place.
We're getting incredible information from the apartment tapes. They're eye-opening, but they're not enough. We have the Enterprise clear as a bell. The problem is we need Craig back. So we need to
have the
have
zone.
tapes where he discusses homicides, gambling, loan sharking, labor racketeering.
Well,
Enemy
listen to all
soldier
these
incoming.
conversations.
You don't need to laugh.
It's a lot of work.
Fucker.
And sometimes it can be defeating. You wonder if you're ever going to succeed.
Oh, God.
Zone contested.
Damn, oh my God, I swear I was over here scratching my leg. Oh my goodness, bro. Damn.
You're back on station. Go get after it. Zone secure. Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
Different construction entities that
Enemies attacking the zone. We hold the zone. Zone contested.
Meet that some other time. Labor racketeering is the first of all predicate acts. It was clear as a bell. And then it goes on.
New zones located. Get them secure.
I can take this shit first.
It's John on a diatribe, talking to Frankie Locascio, explaining why he had people killed.
New zones will be active soon. Get ready. Enemy soldier incoming.
Robert DiBernardo, they call him DB. DB had one of the biggest porn operations in the United States.
Zones are ready for capture.
We're not talking
This
about New York City. We're talking about the whole fucking country. I mean, he was big. I always wanted him to take me to the studios in Jersey where they filmed the porn movies.
We have the zone.
I was a
Defend it.
kid, like 20 years old. Even when he would take me to that fucking studios, you know?
At least I could get like 40 seconds or something just to keep this lead up.
Enemies dropping into the AO.
Like a good another 60 points, I'll be alright.
Maintain the lead.
Or even if somebody come in and try to body me. Something like that, exactly.
He didn't know why he was killed. He suspected he was getting something. When John laid it out, he said he was the one behind it.
Whether he was talking bad about John, I don't know for sure.
High value zone located.
No, he signed his own death warrant.
Resurging. Go get your revenge.
There's always a method behind the name. There's always a dollar for it.
Zone secure.
Now, he got a picture when the wise guy
Enemy
goes,
soldier incoming.
the family gets dispersed. Who benefited from it? John
The
Gotti
enemy's
benefited
attacking
from
the
it
zone.
because he inherited today's market.
We control the zone.
Forget it, the money he's making.
Heads up. Enemies in the zone. We're contesting the zone. We have the zone. Defend it.
That's
15
almost
seconds
powerful.
before zones relocate.
Criminal conduct. For me, it was a smoking gun. Now we have all three elements that can charge RICO. And that was kind of a big moment for us.
Objective locations updated. Secure the new zones. Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the
The plan
skies.
was to arrest them all at the raid night in one time.
We went to the club. We walked
New
into the
zones
back
coming
room,
online.
and they gave John, Sammy, and Frank were sitting at the table. John, you know why I'm here? John's like, your timing's there. We just ordered coffee. We had a little conversation.
Zones are active.
That's John, right? It was one of these, I'm going to beat this rap, right? No,
We
you're
hold
going to
the
try.
zone.
I'm not sure you're going to beat it. Your mother's probably on my side. You don't know my mother. But I said, why were you worried about what you set up in the apartment? And all of a sudden, he just shut up.
Enemies dropping into the AO.
And that was it.
The reputed head of the nation's most powerful mafia family is behind bars this morning.
Gotti is accused of several acts of racketeering, including the 1985 rub-out of Gambino and Paul Castellano. Similar charges were brought against Frank Locascio and the underboss of the Gambino clan, Sammy Bulgarbano.
we all knew that getting arrested was part of the job. You never, you don't speak about it. When he got arrested, that was...
High value zone marked. Secure
to
turn additional points.
Guy faces multiple life sentences and up to 105 years in prison if convicted on all charges.
Victory
But
is close.
if he's not convicted, this will be
Enemy
Guy's
soldier
fourth
incoming.
victory over the government.
People in the media, they're building up this aura of he's invincible. Nobody could put this guy in jail, and we couldn't afford to lose.
Let's go.
We
That's got this done.
we had, and we realized that we had to bring on other law enforcement agencies, which were not from playing nice together.
You also need to have both the
Zones are relocating soon.
Or nominate yourself in Boston Gambino family. It's crucial to see if he knows anything about it. One day, we did a talk to the lead prosecutor that he wanted to go over a case in case he was using his truck.
New zones identified. Get them locked down. Get ready. You're redeploying.
My concern is the organized crime task force is still upset that the Bureau ruined their case, right? So, it's all a problem.
Enemies
There
are
are some
dropping into
people
the
within the
area.
Bureau
Watch the
that
skies.
believe that their case is the single most important and they're the only ones capable of doing
Zones
it.
are online.
And to a large extent, they want the credit for doing it. If the use of our evidence helps, that's great. The critical thing is the conviction of the head of the family.
In this trial, for the first time, the Organized Crime Task Force and the FBI have declared a truce on fighting over who gets the glory.
Everybody came together. And it's what can I do, when do you want it, where should I bring it?
Prosecutor says I love these tapes just as much as I love the FBI tapes. Because our tapes happened
Zone secure.
when the FBI did the tape happened in like 1990 and 1989. So, for example, our tapes occur before Robert DiBernardo was killed. Conversations where they're questioning Robert DiBernardo's loyalty.
Stand by for redeployment.
We had the FBI tapes in 1990 with Gotti saying it was okay to wax DiBernardo. Our tapes also concerned Gotti still hating Paul Castellano. And our tapes had tremendous enterprise.
Oh, I thought he was coming from on top.
Be advised, mission time is about to expire.
What ends up happening is our tapes were woven in with the FBI tapes. Now, all those conversations we had showing all the crimes they had committed
15 seconds left. Time for vengeance. You're redeploying.
Winnable case.
The stage is set for an epic showdown between the Outlaw Dawn and the U.S. government.
Convoy of vans driven by heavily armed federal marshals had John Gotti moved out towards Brooklyn Federal Court.
So we knew this would be the battle royale of the United States government versus John Gotti. In the opposite corner, some members of the FBI's Gambino squad, many of whom had spent a career dogging Gotti and the largest of New York's 5 organized crime families.
The scene outside the courthouse where the cameras were all assembled, percolating with excitement. People wanted to know, will the government get him this time?
And then it became the parade of Hollywood stars to support him.
The Gotti trial is the hottest show off Broadway, with spectators lining up as early as 2 in the morning for a chance to get inside the courtroom.
Anthony Quinn, Mickey Rourke.
There was the TV star John Amos. He thought John Gotti was the winner.
I think he's a fascinating man.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies. Some bitches picked the wrong fight.
Let's
Get
go.
it done.
We walked to the courtroom and the halls were filled with wise guys, news media, people from the public trying to get seats. I I'd never tried a case that was standing room only.
You knew that John Gotti was standing Frank to hear just how good these statements are.
Thank you for that, bro.
What brought this trial alive were the tapes, were the Ravenite tapes.
He was a mainstay now, ourselves. He deserved to have a fucking contract.
We had a tape about loan sharking.
How to get that dub for sure right there.
We had tapes about gambling. We had tapes about murder. We had tapes about conspiring to murder. We had tapes about union organizations. We had tapes about labor racketeering. Every crime that we charged, we had a tape that would cover that crime. And it was Gotti's mouth and Gotti's words that set forth the crime.
The tapes were exceptionally clear. There was no doubt about what he was saying.
He was exposed as a vulgar thug with all of his cursing, and I don't think people had ever really heard that to that extent.
Now we're hearing that he's ruthless and he's ordering people killed, and there's this whole other side to John Gotti than the persona that we sort of helped create, making him a celebrity.
The media wrote about the $2,000 Baroni suits, but we really didn't write about where the $2,000 came from.
We played that tape where John just badmouthed Sammy the Bull for an hour straight.
When he says people think these are my green eyes, John's angry that he's being blamed, that he's the greedy guy, and he's looking bad. And that's all John really cares about.
And what we're hearing is Gotti ranting and raving about Sammy Gravano. What we're not hearing is what Sammy Gravano is hearing, which is, this guy's gonna kill me.
I'm at home, and I get a call from the office. Sammy Gravano was interested in talking to us. He wanted to cooperate.
See if I can get another dub or at least top 5.
Because
it's been some wet tea.
But you can cross-examine Sammy. And all of a sudden, going through my mind was, well, they can blame everything on Sammy.
But you can't ignore something like that. As we were debriefing Sammy, not only did he give us even more insights into the conversations we had, you know, we talked about all of John's trials before and how John beat the government in the Diane Jacqueline case, and Sammy proudly spoke about, you know, John didn't win that trial. I fixed it for him. You know, what do you mean you fixed it? He says, I'm the one who paid the juror the $60,000. I mean, I'm literally astonished by this. I'm almost in disbelief. He brought greater detail
Check your
and
weapons, check your
expanded
gear. We're
our
home for
evidence,
deployment.
if you will, because he could fill in so many blanks. You have to give it a shot.
The president is our highest ranking admitted member
Enemies
of the
dropping into the AO.
to turn state's evidence ever in the history of New York State.
People immediately started calling Sammy a rat and started putting posters up of a rat with Sammy's head on top of it.
Oh God, Sammy Gravano. It was so shocking.
When I heard Sammy book, I thought he was a scumbag. What scumbag mean? He was the younger boy.
Sammy was a
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
Never in a million years would I think Sammy Gravano was going to inform on John Gotti.
How could a guy in that position
Rip time's over. Now you deploy to the war zone.
One of the days I remember the clearest is the first day that Devon began. There were these huge FBI and SWAT teams.
You've seen it in the movies, but this is real life. In a public courtroom, Senator Bull Gravano is violating a blood oath he took when he joined the mob, testifying against his boss, the so-called Teflon Don, John Gotti.
Target area is located. Get those zones secure.
Use bad guys to get other bad guys. In the first federal trial against John Gotti, they used a string of bad guys whom the jury used to apparently be incredible.
New zones coming online.
Government
Enemy soldier incoming.
Now they're using Sammy the Bull Gravano, a guy with a hateful record, a guy who is a skeleton killer, a guy who is an enforcer, kills his own brother-in-law. This is
zones are ready for capture.
So why do they take the risk?
In a flat-chilling tone, Gravano details
We're advancing on the zone. Zone secure.
Or help set up, all with the or approval, he said, of John Gotti.
Gravano was basically looking over us to Gotti and Gotti looking back. And you could feel the daggers flying back and forth. It was absolutely
go get your revenge.
silent in the courtroom.
At that moment, if the courtroom could have been cleared, Gotti and Gravano might have gone right at each other.
None of the jury spoke at this guy. Because this is a mass murderer. This is the guy who's been making people. And nobody was...
The jury saw FBI surveillance videotape taken outside Gotti's Raymondite Social Club in Little Italy, which showed the Sammy Bull Gravano they had just seen on the witness stand and seen after scene as a close associate of John Gotti.
One of the best things that Sammy Gravano was able to tell us was exactly how the Castellano was executed.
They were able to give juries the blow-by-blow of how the details went.
Who were the shooters? Who was at the scene?
He and John were in the car together. Who shot?
Gravano and Gotti actually drove by the scene, looked down to make sure that they were dead.
And they all then left the scene. So he gave all of that, and that was detail we just didn't have.
The Gotti trial is drawing to a dramatic close. The jury begins deliberations tomorrow, and the outcome is anyone's guess.
You've taken the lead. Enemy squads are tracking your location. Zones are relocating soon.
It's nerve-wracking for everybody. They came back with a note saying they had reached the verdict after about a day and a half.
New zones located. Get them secure. Enemy soldier incoming.
You know, you hear it's not a good sign that they come back quickly. I was nervous. I wasn't sure which way this was going to go. It's still a jury. There's still people who like John Gotti throughout the city.
I was scared that I wasn't going to be able to stand up when the jury walked in because my knees were shaking so much.
My heart was pounding. I let my news desk know, there's the verdict, get ready, get in the control room, what's going on. At 1:19 p.m., the jury forewoman stood and read the verdict. Gotti sat there smoking in his heavily tailored black suit.
We are
The
returning
jurors
you
were
to the
anonymous,
front.
they were given a number, not a name. There was no real identification. But I was watching to see how nervous and scared they were. Looking at Gotti. I thought, oh my God, no one would have the strength to convict him.
And it was actually one juror, she was tearing up. And I wasn't sure how to read that.
Stand by for redeployment.
Oh my goodness, as soon as I wanted to go there, bro.
Enemies dropping into the AO. We control the zone.
And here,
High value zone located.
guilty, guilty, proven, 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 guilty, guilty. And I was going, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Tonight, the Dapper Don trades his pinstripes for prison stripes. John Gotti is convicted of all charges and faces life behind bars.
Heads up, enemies in the zone. We're contesting the zone. Zone secure.
The Teflon is
We have
gone.
the zone. defend it.
The gun is covered with Velcro, and every charge in the indictment is stuck. The mob, as we have known it in New York City and in the United States, is on the way out.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies. 15 seconds left. Zone contested.
I was just really, really happy. It was relief. This is over, and we did it. And it took a little bit of time to really kind of sink in.
It was a great moment. It's a terrific moment for the whole organized crime task force.
Zones have relocated. Get moving.
And finally, we were working with the FBI again.
If we had been this way
Get ready.
before,
You're redeploying.
the mob would not have survived.
The voices of triumph and of defeat reverberated in the air. John Gottlieb's supporters were left with a bitter taste. That's the joy now. Everyone,
I lost some good friends. You know, I lost a mentor. I lost someone that I didn't know my past. I thought I'd never see him again. I was sad. So now the party's over.
It was like a sickening feeling because life never seen daylight, you know? But that's the life
You're
we
back on
choose.
station. Go get
People
after it.
blame John Gotti for being on the cover of Time magazine, John Gotti for being in the media,
Enemy soldier
Danny
incoming.
Gravano, he brought down organized crime because he ratted.
We control the zone.
That's not true. I have to give law enforcement the credit for that. These guys work diligently, watching them and taping them and following them, sometimes a year, 18 months, until they actually get them arrested and put them behind bars. They did their job, and they did a damn good job at it. You have to be honest about that, whether you're from the streets or not. They brought it down. Nobody else should get that
Lock it down to
credit
earn
of bringing
points
it
faster.
down. They did it.
John Gotti was whisked to the federal prison just over the Brooklyn
Enemies
Bridge
dropping
next to
into the
City
AO.
Hall. That's been his home since his arrest.
You're halfway to victory. Stay in control.
Ain't nobody fucking me right now. I can get these next 30 seconds.
Now
I'll be
that Gotti's
fine.
gone, it's clear the infrastructure of the mob here in New York is weakening. John Gotti and his heat mouth, commentators, use of the media, turned a secret society into a national spectacle. So I think
Zone's
that
updating
if
in
anybody
15
is
seconds.
responsible for the downfall of the mob, it's not me, it's not the FBI, it's not the other prosecutors. It's
Enemy soldier incoming. New zone's located. Get them secure. New zones will be active soon. Get ready.
No, really?
New zones are ready for capture. We hold the zone. Enemies dropping into the AO. Heads up, enemies in the zone.
You see your future, Rolo, when you have no part of it. It's like living in the ultimate purgatory.
You're getting another chance. Make it count.
I know this is the best chance of getting my life back. I know everything's running.
High value zone is online.
Everyone knows who I am, but no one knows the real me.
The teenage drug dealer nicknamed White Boy Rick was busted at age 17 and has served 28 years behind bars, the longest ever in Michigan.
We are returning you to the front.
You're not
Earn
going to
this.
convince any judge to this for something that's life for someone's right.
How many of you have
Zone secure.
The only thing that I legitimately remember about the war on drugs in the 80s when I was a child was seeing Nancy Reagan on different strokes telling, Gary Coleman, just say no.
All drugs are dumb.
15 seconds before zones relocate.
Moving kilos. When you're 17 years old, you're moving kilos. You're at a status of drug dealer that most 17-year-olds don't reach.
Get ready.
And I'll tell you
You're
from what I
redeploying.
can see as a judge now, the war on drugs is over, and
Zones have relocated. Get moving.
Originally was the
Jesus, because I could even get one right there, bro.
Enemy soldier incoming.
distribution of heroin.
You're trying to do me dirty right now, dog.
Gave way to cocaine, which quickly gave way to crack.
New zones coming
Crack
online.
is a plague of inner cities in this country.
Somebody would be right on my eyes.
The city.
I mean, look at this dumbass building I was just thinking about in my head. Like, I hope I don't get this spot.
This chamber here holds 12 shotgun shells. It's part of a 5-part series of a crack house.
We control the
I
zone.
went on dozens and dozens and dozens.
Zone contested. We have the zone.
Oh, I fucking hate this shit. Hate this area, bro.
Agents say the gang was well armed. In many of the homes, they found assault weapons.
It was very, very violent. We had officers shot, a couple of them killed. And I was right in the middle of it. I was on the drug squad for the FBI.
But in the course of some of these raids, they discovered a path.
You're getting another chance. Make it count.
This is one of the drug homes owned by the state.
Money, money, money. We rich got it.
We control the zone.
$150,000 cash.
They go through the home. The faucet, 24 karat gold. And this was amazing. Once upon a time, drug dealers was truly idolized. They had all
Enemies
the
dropping into the AO.
Cars,
High value zone marked.
houses,
Secure to earn additional
weapons.
points.
The money was just unlimited. And it becomes a problem because it's a cash
If
business.
that shit was a little closer, I would have went for that. Let me just sit right
What
here.
do you do with all that cash?
I tell you what we can do. We can give it to the poor. That's exactly what I say too. We're just donate those to the poor.
It seemed like every week a new drug gang emerged. The Chambers brothers. Best friends.
All zones are closing.
Young Boys
Last chance.
Incorporated, Maserati Rick, Johnny Curry, and Leo Curry had
Heads up,
started
enemies
a
in the
drug
zone.
organization. Say if I got a key of cocaine or 2 or 3 keys of cocaine. You might have 100 bales of weed.
Zones updating.
I may more off this cocaine
Entry closed. Keep those
than you
zones
go off the
secure.
weed. Let's say.
That's how I got it.
When we talk about Young Boys Incorporated or the Chambers Brothers, there's not one single white person involved in any of those gangs.
During the coverage of the Chambers brothers, I had a conversation
Resurging.
with
Go
a
get your
source of
revenge.
said, you know, there's this Richard Bushy Jr. He's 17. And his wife in a largely black dominated world. And his nickname is White Boy.
The teenage drug dealer nicknamed White Boy Red.
We have the zone.
White Boy
Defend
Red.
it. Enemies are dropping into the area.
One
Watch
of
the
the things
skies.
you don't want to do if you're a criminal, I would advise you never to get a message.
I just remember in the 80s, I recall me and my friends joking around when we were 16, 17 in the suburbs, and someone would be dealing weed out of his car, and we joke, oh, who do you think you are, White Boy Rick? In the 1990s, when I first got
Oh, nothing down, back to back.
you hear about all the different ski veterans from the different states. I was mainly on the East Coast, but one of the guys, there was a lot of talk about White Boy Rick.
All targets
And
eliminated.
to me, I was kind of mesmerized because, being a white drug dealer myself in the suburbs and in college, I always had to with white kids, that were supposedly running all these black gangs and running the city of Detroit. At that time, I really didn't know anything about White Boy Rick. I didn't know who Rick Worthy was. I didn't even know this caricature, almost like a comic book character, when you flash across the newspaper. He really but he was smart. He was socializing and doing business with the biggest drug dealers in Detroit. We all bought motorcycles together, rolled up to see my brother in prison together. It became a very iconic moniker. It has been name dropped in Kid Rock songs.
Got more cash than White Boy Rick.
I'm sure the main coat, they walk around with their twin name codes to integrate like he did. I mean, that's not everyone can do that. And my point is, he wasn't a poser. That's who he was. He was part of his environment. He was a white kid that was brought up his whole life around all black people. But a lot of the DPDs that were working for
Rank up is too real.
Rick was a race trader. Did not like the fact that he talked black, that he acted black, that he dated black women, and definitely didn't like 14, 15-year-old kids rolling around in BMWs and flashing cash wads that equaled more than their entire paycheck for the whole year. $500,000 a week, $2 million a month. It bred a lot of resentment.
There were sections in the city today that were
This drug operation was so heavily fortified that police could not get through the front door.
In Detroit in the 1980s, there were dozens upon dozens of proficient professional killers. The most menacing, the most feared, without question, Rick Boone Craft.
In the 80s, I was a hitman that worked for many different drug lords and kingpins, even some that weren't even in this country.
Law officers say there are direct links now between gangs and Colombian drug dealers.
They would hire me to do hits. I was involved with about 30 murders. I was responsible for almost 30 murders. They paid $50,000 and up. And I was up in 2 games. Anything that was $50,000, I always come with. What you want? You got head, you want his arm, you want his private part.
Rice was in charge of the Detroit Police Department's homicide division.
Crack cocaine changed the whole complexion of homicide cases in the city of Detroit. We were actually having almost 800 homicides per year.
Probably 85% was due in some part to the narcotics trade.
Now this is what happens to you when you become a gangster, a hitman, or whatever. You get shot up.
Either you didn't pay what you owed me, or jealousy takes over.
They tore up. I had to walk with a cane. AK, I can't even move my hand. That's so bad. You hit me with everything, 9 in the back. Like the Grim Reaper. You make my list, I'm coming for you. With your hand.
White people have left this city in record numbers.
It goes from almost 2 million people, now it's down to 1 million people. Today, we're probably down to 600,000 people. Rick grew up on the east side of Detroit, which is a notoriously very tough area.
We were very normal. We were a normal family coming up. My grandparents lived across the street from us, and it was my brother, my dad, and I. And
Rick's father and I divorced when Rick was 5. And they stayed with him at the house, which I wasn't happy about, but they wanted to be there, so I left them.
it went, from a nice working class neighborhood, regardless of race or color, to just horrible. Like, there was crack houses across the street from our house. My grandmother, I remember her getting robbed for her purse in her own driveway. I mean, it was bad.
He played Little League Baseball, was the star of Little League Baseball in the picture. Eventually, he went out and spent his 8th grade year out in the suburbs in Macomb County with his mom. He did really well. He got good grades, he was popular in the school.
But he was seeing his father on occasion, and he decided to go back with him.
Richard Sr. was a gun dealer, street hustler,
and the joke became that there was white dad Rick and white boy Rick.
Rick himself really idolized his father and spent most of his childhood at his father's side, to the point where he was kind of known in those gun shows when he was 11, 12, 13 years old as like one of the best salesmen at those gun shows.
It was an adventurous life. I mean, it's cowboys and Indians in Detroit essentially. And he just got caught up in it.
Everything that I knew, it was like a glamorized version of White Boy Rick. Once I started talking to him and researching the case with all the documents and newspaper articles and court records, I found a very different story emerge.
1 out of every 5 people who try cocaine get hooked. But that's not your problem. Or is it?
what the legislatures tried to do was make the law so harsh that people would think twice before getting into the drug trade. And we're going to pass a statute that provides for mandatory life. Anybody who's in possession of over 650 grams of cocaine, they got convicted, they got mandatory life. Hundreds of people were prosecuted underneath the 650 law, including Tim Allen, the actor in Hollywood. But historically, penalty has never been a factor in stopping the crime from occurring. As long as there's enough money in the crime, the penalty isn't going to make a big difference. There was a lot of money to be made, and a lot of people tried to make money, and I represented quite a few of them. And that kind of money began to corrupt everything. It corrupted the government. It corrupted the police.
There can be no progress in the suburbs unless there's progress in the city.
Coleman Young is the most powerful politician in the history of Detroit. Coleman Young was a machine, and his niece was Kathy Bolson, and she was married to Johnny Curry, one of the biggest drug dealers in Detroit.
My wife's uncle was Mayor Coleman Young.
There was a protective detail that Coleman Young wanted placed on Kathy Bolson, knowing full well that she was married and living with all these drug dealers.
And then she had heard about the Curry brothers.
I got a couple of more in me, or this might be my last one.
And then next thing you know, he's married.
Put my ass down, get some sleep, and come back. Put in some more hours of bed.
Including Jimmy Harris, who was Mayor Coleman Young's head of security. They were specifically instructed not to intervene in these interactions and in these transactions. One time I got picked up by one of the police officers. He knew I needed something in the car. He see me on the back seat. He said, go ahead on your about your way. You want me to escort you in or something like that? So I was fine, because they really never messed with each other. Their only job was to follow around Kathy Curry and prevent her from harm. It was a slippery slope, I think, for these people. They went downhill very, very fast.
It was wide open for greedy people, and cops is just greedy as we are. If they got debts and so forth, they gonna turn crook. Everybody, police officers down at 1300 was crooked. When I was down there, I walked there like shit. I didn't back ass myself.
John Curry, because of his marriage to Kathy Curry, had a direct line to Gil Hill, who at the time was the Detroit Police Department's head of the homicide division. But Gil Hill had bigger aspirations. He had become a movie actor, was in this wildly popular Eddie Murphy movie, Beverly Hills Cop, where he played the boss of Eddie Murphy in the movie.
Inspector T, how you doing? Where the you been, Foley?
In Detroit, everybody knew Gil Hill and wanted to talk to Gil Hill and be around Gil Hill. He was probably the biggest celebrity in the city of Detroit at the time.
Gil Hill to me was a lot more than the Beverly Hills Cop that you see on TV. He actually trained me.
You're up fast, we're about to get evil.
Ins and outs of investigations and interrogations.
Affiliated?
Enemy soldier incoming.
He basically got us to stay away from certain people that he wanted to protect. He tell us, hey man, don't be hitting this one, don't do this and that. Because if you made our list, you was going to be here.
I have nothing bad to say about this. He wanted homicide exposed. He wanted to get some resolve to the brutality of taking place.
Enemies dropping into the AO.
Yes. Yeah. As Gil was
All
saying,
stations, we are clear to go. Stand by for deployment.
That's not the Gil Hill that I know. That doesn't mean that, of course, people don't have dark sides, because I do believe that all people have dark sides.
So we would have to listen to Gil because he's going to do us a favor later. In order for us to get favors with him, we got to do favors with him as well. One hand washes the other.
He was a guy with quite a bit of catch there. He had his eyes set on the very wrong himself.
Lockdown. Control zones, earn points,
One of the nation's
secure
best
victory.
known mayors, Coleman Young of Detroit, is getting the kind of national attention these days that no politician wants.
Coleman Young was a notoriously corrupt man that never got convicted or anything.
latest involves charges that his police chief stole from a fund set up for undercover drug buying.
Get ready.
You think you are? They're coming here and closely grabbing me.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
White residents complained him for great social ills.
Oh, okay.
A number of people, including and local law enforcement figures, thought that he was
stand by for redeployment.
Totally incorrect. I don't like it. I think there were people around anymore.
So lots of members of federal law enforcement had a giant agenda to go get home.
Johnny and Neil Curtis did a plea agreement for 20 years.
I did 14 years. I got a 20-year sentence, did 14, came out.
And one day, I get a tip that they're going to raid Kathy Boy's.
Fuck me!
And guess who's in?
Enemies dropping into the AO.
Imagine my editors asking me what you're doing. Well, an alleged notorious 17-year-old drug dealer was caught in a raid sleeping with the niece of the mayor.
You're back on station. Go get after it. High value zone is online.
You had rapes, drugs, sex, you had political intrigue, you had police corruption.
So now,
zone secure.
Is David holding that's a problem for everybody, and it becomes a problem for Rick Richards.
Where she was busted, now has him serving a life sentence. You're not trying to tell me that you're an angel, that you never did anything wrong.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies. Enemies in the lead, marking their locations.
The 650 life law that Bush was convicted under was repealed.
Zones are relocating soon.
So the Supreme Court of the state of Michigan said that constitutes cruel and unusual punishment. So you can't sentence people to life without parole for a nonviolent crime.
Objective locations updated. Secure the new zones.
But to be incarcerated for 28 years, he's now a grandfather.
Just like almost all top-end crime things.
Enemy soldier incoming.
I don't think they caught one, not one, large-scale drug.
And then in the press, they come out and say, drug kingpin, white boy Rick.
He didn't have a drug gang. He didn't have crack houses. He didn't kill anyone. Or anyone killed himself.
I'm sorry to tell you that the legend of white boy Rick.
Time for vengeance. You're redeploying.
Why was juvenile, non-violent, drug offender? He kept in prison.
Zone secure.
Heads
up, enemies in the zone. We're advancing on the zone.
Third world countries don't incarcerate like this.
How does he get connected to the police?
We hold the zone. The enemy's attacking the zone.
It's a combination. So when I met Richard Bush Sr., he had been on top as an informant.
Stand by for redeployment.
There was no end to what he was doing. He was doing one thing and he was always dabbling into the next. But he was very brilliant.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies. 15 seconds left.
I think he also had a business where he was selling on the black market.
He was so silencers.
Time for vengeance. You're redeploying.
And then,
zone identified. Get them locked down.
He would then divulge he was selling these guns to the FBI.
at the top of the list of the targets is Johnny Curry and the Curry gang.
Stand by for new zones.
So the first time I met Worsham Sr., it was at a McDonald's on the west side of Detroit. And when I walked into the restaurant, after introductions were made, I noticed he's got this young kid with him, appeared to be 15 or so. And when we got talking about the Curry drug investigation, I noticed the father would defer to the son.
My dad didn't really know who these people were.
And pretty soon it became apparent to me that really the kid is somehow the real source of the information.
And I kind of interjected and told them who they were and recognized them from the neighborhood.
I just didn't feel comfortable with it. I didn't think it was appropriate. But I wanted to keep the channels of communication open.
I believe Richard himself quickly realized that the target for this was Big Game. He was using the truck to get paid.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies. Heads up, enemies in the zone. We have the zone.
This was something
Defend
that
it.
I think started off as one thing. Started off where they would, sometimes pick Rick up and drive through the neighborhood. And Rick tells you this, tell us what that's about, what that's about.
So there's this 14-year-old
Enemy squad's halfway to mission complete. Pick it up.
Inform on narcotics in Detroit. In the short time he was an informant,
Get ready. You're
he collected
redeploying.
about $35,000 from them. It's funny to me how people always talk about what criminals would do to make a dollar. But in the same regard, you gotta look at what the FBI will do to make an arrest.
He was actually instructed to infiltrate the Curry boys. Start hanging out with the Currys, pretending
Go
to be
get
one
your
of the
revenge.
drug gangs, start making control of it.
He just started to do a little innings, and then he started knowing a few people that he figured.
Enemy soldier incoming. 15 seconds before zones relocate. Zone secure.
He didn't play really a major role. Nobody would necessarily know that they knew it was coming from us. So,
within a couple months, Rick is right by Johnny Curry's side and has become a protege of Johnny Curry's. I don't think anybody realized that Rick would be able to do that, let alone do it so quickly.
And were they able to make any arrests by the copy information?
Oh, yeah, numerous.
Where Rick would say, hey,
New zones will be active soon. Get ready.
Don't come to that house. The police would make a raid, they would confiscate the drugs and money, and they would be stuck.
Yeah, I believe in one time and 3 times in one day.
New zones online.
The whole business of operating informants, it's a cat and mouse game. And just because somebody has an informant designated as doesn't preclude that informant from being utilized by other agencies.
Enemies dropping into the AO.
We have involved. We had United States Customs, Michigan State Police, we have Detroit Police.
Heads up, enemies in the zone.
We're also using this kit.
He got lucky with that one. He did.
Going in unmarked police cars at night with the police, driving around, identifying people at certain clubs, and he ain't getting home till 3 in the morning, and he's got to wake up at 7
We are
to go to
returning you
school.
to the front. Earn this. High value zone identified. Lock it down to earn points faster. Enemy soldier incoming.
You're wasting too much time in math class. You need to be on the street for us to get us information.
You're getting another chance. Make it count.
At some point, as the fall progressed in 1980, Johnny Curry was given information that Rick Worsham was an informant. Rick Worsham
advancing on the zone.
They knew somebody.
Zones are relocating soon.
They would have meetings talking about who the informant might be. There were a lot of people on the street.
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies. We hold the
I
zone.
remember being at the home that my boyfriend and I shared.
Objective locations updated. Secure the new zones.
And standing in the bedroom listening, and talking to my dad at the front door, and my dad said, tell her brother's been shot, and right then I fell to the floor.
Stand by for new zone.
Another 30 minutes, who was helping with order.
We were in the house about 5 minutes before school that day.
And after a couple minutes, says, hey,
New
Rick,
zones are
come
ready
over
for
down the
capture.
stairs.
As soon as I hit the top of the stairs, he comes out of the bedroom.
Get ready. You're redeploying.
We shot at close range, with a 357 Magnum, went in front, out the back, and was large and tested in there.
Zone secured. Enemies dropping into the AO.
Call 911. He wouldn't call 911. He's in a panic.
Having killed, this should be a decent ring. Come on, play one more.
She's the one who called 911. Older brother and friends were putting me in the car. I don't know if they were going to take me to a hospital or take me somewhere in Dundee. Finally, an ambulance showed up, blocked them off, and told them that
I had nothing to do with this shot. And the agent said, or whoever said it, police officer, whoever said it, they way out of order.
Rick's family and
High value zone marked. Secure to earn additional points. Enemy soldier incoming.
Between Richard and the FBI handlers. Richard blames them for getting his son shot, and at that time, thinking he might die. The task force were kind of huddled by the snap machines. They had realized that if he died, the fact that they've been using
enemy squad's close to victory. Get after him.
Surgeon Dr. Bowles,
Barely scoped into the zone.
Defend it. Sat next to his bedside, I believe it was for 10 or 12 hours. Because he didn't think he was going to make it.
But he did, thank God.
I really honestly
Zone's updating in 15
because
seconds.
you could have pumped the brakes.
Enemies
You could have
dropping
said,
into
you
the
know what,
AO.
this is crazy. We almost got this kid killed.
Overtime. Zone
We
values
need to
of
stop
interest.
everything. You did, by the book. But instead, members of that task force came to the conclusion that this would increase his credibility.
Police told me to say the shooting was an accident because it was the best way to sweep it under the rug, and I can continue to work for them.
We're going to push it into high gear. We're going to send it back into the Curry game. And if there was any belief that he was an informant before, that belief was going to go out the window, because if he was a snitch, Johnny Curry would be in handcuffs right now. So, by the mere fact of him going back to his own neighborhood, it built up his reputation as a drug dealer, not an informant. It almost helped him there.
Resurging.
During
Go
Rick's
get your
recovery,
revenge.
Johnny Curry called him and said, where you been? What's going on? Eventually, Rick met him and was kind of like,
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the
thought
skies.
it was an informant
We
that had
control
shot.
the zone.
And Johnny denied it. And he might have mentioned it. I don't know. I heard nothing.
They hit us
But
hard
from
that
that
time.
point forward,
Let's
Rick
regroup
was
and get back up
in
there,
tighter than ever.
And we are live from Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada, for the top rank for this world.
Johnny Curry is entourage in Las Vegas. First thing was like, Tommy Hearns, who was Detroit's favorite son in the boxing game at that time, facing off with Marvelous and all the major urban drug dealers.
Oh, they should have solo.
And this was the golden era of boxing. The Tommy Hearns Marvin Hagler fight was all anybody was talking about in sports. And Tommy Hearns grew up and socialized for a lot of black drug dealers of the era. And the kind of joke was, last guy in Detroit came off the weights.
I was asked to go out there and get information about some people that were involved in the drug trade and their connections and how the drugs were coming in. Just basically as much intel as I could from out there. I was given a fake ID. I was 15 at the time. The ID made me 21 years old.
So they give me money, they give me false ID, and they set them up in a casino. This is insanity.
Great FBI was going to detail in that, and it shows, I think they gave me like $1,500 on a receipt, and then I think they gave me like another $1,000 or $1,500 for pocket money.
While they're at the fight, Johnny Curry and his entourage's reservations and flight tickets mysteriously disappear.
well, maybe disappear is the wrong word. They never really existed to start. Johnny had reached out to a member of his crew by a guy by the name of Leon Lucas, and him and Johnny had kind of gotten into a beef over drugs and money that had been confiscated in a raid. Johnny Curry held him responsible for the drugs and money. And Leon said, let me start to try to make it up for you. I will provide you hotel arrangements and tickets to the Hagler Burns fight.
He assured Johnny Curry that it would all be taken care of. Well, when Curry and his posse got out there, nothing was handled, nothing was taken care of. And when he got back to Detroit, some of his lieutenants, not at the direction of Johnny Curry himself, but some of his lieutenants went over to Leon Lucas's house in an effort to intimidate him.
What those individuals that went there decided to do was to shoot the place up in a drive-by shooting.
Unfortunately for them, Leon Lucas isn't there.
And in the process, Leon's nephew, Danny Lucas, who was 13 years old and was living with him, was shot and killed.
This becomes a very hot topic in law enforcement. On the news, 13-year-old killed in drive-by.
You know, I heard Johnny Curry on wiretaps shortly after he got the authority to tap his phone. And he was lamenting whoever he was talking with that, you know, those guys shouldn't have gone over there. I told them don't go over there. He was sorry that this whole thing had taken place. Probably because it was bringing a lot of heat on him and his drug organization.
Rick Worship comes back into play in this whole story, in that Rick says he was listening in on a phone conversation on a speakerphone, and he heard Johnny Curry talking to Gil Hill.
And that's when I found out that Gil Hill was responsible for covering up the kid's murder. Johnny placed a call to Gil, put it on speaker. We were riding around in Johnny's BMW. Basically, Gil told him everything that was going on, and you know, that he had it under control and that he would do his best not to worry about anything. He had already been to meet with Gil, and he said Gil turned red to cover up the kid's murder.
This information made him incredibly dangerous to a lot of people.
Johnny Curry told this to me while he was incarcerated at the Texarkana Federal Correctional Facility in Texas.
So ultimately what happened is the Detroit Police Department, under the direction of Gil Hill, framed basically an innocent man, Keith Davis. I had information, part of it was from Richard Worship Jr., and part of it was from the wiretaps that we had that strongly suggested that they had the wrong guy locked up, and he's facing a life term.
Well, sometimes he'll tell us to put the gun in somebody's car, one of our enemies. And then he had the police pull up on him and say, wait, is that a gun hanging out on your seat? Because people don't know that we just slipped the gun in their car. Same way we did with drugs. He used to tell us to set people up with drug busts, too. That's the way they get busted.
Subsequently, I was ordered by my special agent in charge to gather all of the information that we had with regards to the Damian Lucas murder and take it directly to Chief Hart of the Detroit Police Department. I did so, and nothing ever occurred. To this day, it's still an open investigation.
In fact, Keith Davis remained in jail, was facing a trial. And so I made sure Davis's defense attorney got the information that he needed to get him exonerated. Ultimately, that resulted in me being subpoenaed to the state court, and where demands were met on me to reveal the source of the information. Well, it became very touch and go because there would be extreme retaliation against the Worship family. So I refused to do it, and I was threatened with contempt of court. Ultimately, we dismissed the case against the Davis Freedman at that point.
Gil Hill was investigated for his role in taking a possible payoff, possibly burying these charges. He was never charged. And when Gil Hill ran for mayor, this case came up and was a detriment to his campaign.
At that point, I didn't realize to what extent
corruption had spread throughout the police department. When we did the raid on Kathy Bolton Curry's house, which was in June of 1987, we found a laminated card exactly like this one, holding the personal and confidential information from Gil Hill and Jimmy Harris, which ended up being the beginning of all the rumors that we had heard with regards to the funneling of information from the Detroit Police Department to the Curry organization.
Was that uncommon for Kathy to have that kind of access?
She had access to anything she wanted. Police reports, surveillance reports, whatever you wanted.
On Johnny?
Johnny, myself, other people who needed to start.
So if she said to Sergeant Jimmy Harris, I need to know what the narcotics cops are doing on Rick, on Johnny, on
check your weapons, check your gear. We're holding for deployment.
No problem. The matter of the Damien Lewis murder was never resolved. I knew who did it, but proving it.
Enemies dropping into the AO.
Truthfully, I wish I never would have got roped into the Damien Lucas thing, because I didn't know that 12 years later it would still be affecting my life.
I was told to kill White Boy Rick. We heard that he was telling. So they said, we got to kill that white boy. I know after he did Beverly Hills Cops and all that, he was trying to stay away from everybody.
All stations, green light. We are deploying to the war zone.
As long as he felt he was safe. Like he'll meet you out at the island, waterfront. Yeah, he said that maybe he wanted us to make sure that we kill White Boy Rick. Make sure that boy is dead. But we gotta make sure that it don't lead back to no one. So when you know me, all my people don't come back to no one.
Lockdown. Capture zones and keep them secure to win.
Gotten deeper and has driven higher.
Zones are marked. Lock them
At some
down.
point, these guys said, sooner or later, something's going to go bad, and we're going to be held accountable.
They don't debrief him. They don't send him to a board
school
where he can get over what they just
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
Cops selling drugs, not buying drugs. One day, they just never called.
New zones online.
That's how we broke out.
Once we go back to he knew the drug trade.
You're back on station. Go get after it.
I became addicted to the lifestyle. I became addicted to the money. I became addicted to the
We're
money.
contesting the
I
zone.
became addicted to that money.
The difference was getting a government stipend. They had gleaned enough information regarding the Curry game that the indictment was on the horizon. The indictment would drop within a couple months.
We are returning you to the front. Earn
Rick
this.
will tell you that it wasn't the smartest thing to do to date the wife of a man.
Enemy soldier incoming.
But it happened.
We're advancing the zone.
She was getting high, right? He was looking at it, so.
I was a 17-year-old kid. I was having fun. To be honest, dating her back then was like dating a movie star or something. I remember when
You're getting another chance. Make it count. High value zone located.
I'm Rocky.com.
An enemy squad taking the lead. Marking their locations. We hold the zone. Zone contested. Zone secure. FLB in the zone. We have the zone.
But I knew that was like where Rick drive. So we followed him. I speeded up, get to him.
me and Roy were sitting on a stoplight in a car.
Stand by for
I
redeployment.
happened to look over my shoulder and I spoke up. And I saw the door behind me, like cracked open. And I told Roy, I said, Roy, run the
15
light.
seconds before zones relocate. Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies. We hold the zone.
Speed it up.
I mean, they got shot off in car.
Zones identified. Get them locked down.
That Mac jammed on us.
had friends that were murdered.
You don't realize every day that you were playing with fire, that you could walk out your door one day and your life would be over.
And in that period of time, he
New zones
became
are ready for
what was known as
capture.
a weight man. As a weight man, he had a line of credit with the drug importers in Miami.
He brought a lot of drugs into Detroit in a very short period of time. He was not a drug dealer for very long, but he was nowhere near the country.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm a 10. I say he's about a 2. Rick is nowhere near me.
Guys like the Chambers, the guys like the Currys, they controlled whole sections
Time for
of the
vengeance.
city.
You're redeploying.
Rick didn't control anything.
I said, where did they getting this stuff from? I guess it's Chris Hansen guy. I don't know.
I never set out to
Control the zone.
look like a leader of anyone. Were there some exaggerations? Perhaps.
Enemies dropping
There
into the
were
AO.
seeds of truth to what they were saying. He was socializing with all of the major players, so it was hard for the media to divorce that.
You know, whether he was
High value zone is online.
Drug lord, drug prince, a drug prodigy. He was a 17-year-old kid dealing multi-kilos of dope, and very few adults did that.
Rick could deal with a lot of people that I dealt with. Rick could even say that. Danny and his brother, his people, they were grown men. These are grown men. And this was a kid. That's the difference. A 17-year-old white kid. It was impossible for him to have been what people have pretended that he was.
It wasn't like I went out and said, I want to become this big drug dealer and
Enemy soldier incoming.
I was led down this path by law enforcement. I think about every day if I would have walked away.
Zone contested.
So when you look at it, at the end of the day, law enforcement created almost the perfect criminal. And law enforcement created the perfect persona, the perfect character for the local news, for the local media, and they ate it up.
Zones have relocated. Get moving.
People say I had my day.
Hey, I was Republican number one. They said stuff that
New zones will be active soon. Get ready.
Were there stories about him ordering hits on people that weren't true, floating around?
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
My grandfather, who was a judge in Detroit at the time of Mr. Wertzy's case, had presided over his case for a brief period of time, and he called him worse than a mass murderer. He gave him a $1 million bond. It was the highest bond my grandfather had ever done for anyone.
Bring a case. If not, rumors don't tell the court.
On May 23rd, 1987,
Resurging. Go get your revenge.
were arrested driving down
It ended with his arrest, which is kind of an interesting story, because it was probably a setup. Rick just wanted to hook up with two Colombian wholesale cocaine. They would send deals from Detroit. He got a shipment, I believe it was 18 kilos to drop off.
Stand by for redeployment.
And they have pilot packs in the box, and they pass the police car that
We're running out of time. Get those zones secure. High value zone marked.
They're driving home, they get pulled over, allegedly for going through a stop sign.
At this point, there's a bunch of people on the porch, including Rick's sister, Dawn. And he watched it all unfold. He said, okay, guys, what's going on? And they said, you're under arrest.
Go get after
it. He said, for what? And they said, possession of drugs. And he told them, I don't have any drugs. And they said, they're in the car. He said, search it.
One of the police officers reaches in the back of the car and pulls out the bag of cash.
So my dad ran out there and grabbed a bag of money.
Officers say a tussle started, a fight almost, between Wertzy, Grissom, and the officers. Investigators say that Wertzy took off running.
About 25 minutes, a half hour later, the police find him, they rough him up. The point is getting to the hospital. the next 3 or 4 hours,
Two zones located. Get them secure.
combing the neighborhood, looking
Enemy
for
soldier
drugs.
incoming.
They got an anonymous tip.
Later, more police arrived, and eventually they found a box containing 8 kilos of cocaine under this back porch of Block 11.
Ricky said it was a setup. They were watching him and they knew he would have drugs and money. And they say that when he ran out of the car, he hid the cocaine underneath the porch and continued to run away. And he's charged with that crime.
The attorney that was representing him
We are returning you to the front.
was an attorney by the
Earn
name
this.
of William Buffalino, and he brought motions to suppress the evidence. Shortly thereafter, Coleman Young told Rick, everything will be okay, but you need to get different attorneys.
They decided that they would use it as African Americans and we looked at it higher eggshell.
Get ready. You're redeploying. High value zone identified. Lock it down to earn points back. Enemies dropping into the AO. Zones have relocated. Get moving. You're getting another chance. Make it count.
You know, his work, Kingpin is on
Stand by
fire.
for new
Drug
zone.
lord is on fire.
Enemy soldier
And his
incoming.
friends down here trying to free him.
Of course it hurt. There's no doubt about it, it hurt.
Certain police officers paid us to do that. Ain't nobody ever heard of him being no drug lord until they print that shit in the
New
paper.
zones online.
Where the hell was he a team being us black? Oh, hell no. We made it seem like that, but he wasn't.
They have this newspaper article where they actually listed him as the leader of the Best Friends gang, which is crazy. You know, the Best Friends were like this hit gang.
Be advised, the enemy is close to victory.
Incredible and crazy.
We had to rely on law enforcement. We saw the documents, we saw them firsthand. They were shared with us, and we did our best to vet them, but we were certainly not making stuff up or fabricating. There was enough going on to keep us all busy with crazy enough stories. You had characters like Maserati Rick, who survived an assassination attempt and was murdered in his hospital bed. And in the nightstand was a pistol and a crucifix and a rosary. He was buried in a Mercedes-Benz coffin. So you didn't have to make stuff up. But that's how the cops had it set up.
Overtime.
And that's how
High
they
value
looked at it,
zones are
and
your
that's how
primary
they
objective.
reported it, and that's how we
Secure those zones
the
now.
story and the graphic illustration that this was based on law enforcement documents and sources.
It was a political move. That's where they could put him away forever.
Nate was showing up down there with
Enemies are dropping into the area. Watch the skies.
harm to me.
I was trying to shoot him out at the courthouse. We had the van already parked up on Gratiot. I already had the scope and everything scoped in. But at that point, they walked him underneath into the courthouse. What you mean he in the courtroom? He said, yeah, he in the courtroom.
Of course, we were a little more careful, and when we left the courthouse or we parked the car or whatever, he wasn't there to wish me well that time.
And he was convicted, and after that, it was easy.
We
You
hold
go
the
to
zone.
jail, you're never going to see the light of day.
Operation is still under
opportunity to do better.
Well, the FBI is here and they want me to help them. They've said that they will help me if I help them.
But if you cooperate on this undercover project, and everything works fine, the best I can do is maybe take you out of state custody and put you in the Federal Witness Protection Program in a federal facility with other informants.